Hello, everyone. It's that time of the week for an episode of By the Numbers. I'm your host, Richard Lewis. Joining me, as he often does, the recurring guest for 142 episodes now is Duncan Thorin Shields. He works for The Man now. We're going to talk about that. It's good that you've finally.
I am
done
technically a
bit of
freelancer, but you know,
We'll get into it.
yeah,
We'll get
okay.
into it. You're part of
I'll
the
never
machine.
work for any man, and I'm not saying that as a feminist icon that I am. No.
Yeah, no, that's kind of shit that comes out of actors' mouths.
No.
That like, I'll never work for any man. But we'll get into it. But obviously, like just before we start the show, shout out to the sponsors. .com, great sponsor. If you want to place some bets on some esports events and you want to do it in a safe, ethical environment, go to .com/RLS. Currently, if you go and sign up with that referral code and you deposit up to $100, they'll match that $100. So essentially, free betting chips. And if you know what you're doing, you might make a tidy return. If you don't, you lose it. That's gambling in a nutshell. Be 18 plus and be responsible. So there's so much to talk about in this show because there's been a bunch of news trundling along. But right now, I think we're in this like it's another seismic moment for the Counter-Strike scene.
Yes.
And these come up, I want to say annually, where you have these tipping points. And right now, we're back in what feels like that battle for exclusive control that we deferred in the past. We managed to defer it in 2015, 2016. There was some shenanigans in 2017. And then it seemed to have settled, and we had all the major players. But then with the introduction of the Blast, we kind of got another play, some soft exclusivity kind of going on over there. And the bottom line is, because Counter-Strike is a unique value proposition within esports in the sense that it is super old, it has a proven concept that we know will work, that we know will always have players over a 2-decade-long period.
That's like record numbers at the moment.
And has continued to grow since going free to play. This is an esport that I think is so uniquely positioned within the landscape.
No dev in the way.
Yeah, exactly. Valve generally have taken a very relaxed stance. I assume that's going to change in the future because of all of these factors. Meanwhile, Valve's favorite child, Dota, is in a bit of a serious decline. It's had some issues, since
They're
the
basically
latest patch.
WCS in that motherfucker.
Yeah, and we're now starting to see export from Dota, the things that we liked, like the Dota ranking points and the way the circuit works, coming to CSGO at a time when we're also now starting to create these leagues where we're going to see what we've talked about for years. And I think what we've tried to avoid for years, which is teams assigned to a specific league. That's the only place you see that team, and the only time they will meet with competitors from other leagues is going to be at the major, going to be at the minor, which gives those a special significance, but also deprives the viewer of that opportunity to see top tier opposition go at it on a regular basis without these divides. That's where we are now, and just to sort of lay all the pieces down before I bring Duncan in to talk about it. We have the Blast Premier Circuit 2020. People are being assigned to that. Exclusivity seems to be off the table, but there will be some heavy commitments to meet. We've got the B-Site project that we know is got members of Cloud9 at the structural level, as well as Faceit. And of course, we have, and that's in place of ECS. Faceit are going to essentially ship down ECS. And we have the ESL Pro League. And there is a lot of financial inducements, incentives to get you to commit to one of these leagues almost exclusively. And I say almost because Valve made it abundantly clear they will withdraw licenses to have Counter-Strike if you demand exclusivity, which is what all these leagues were doing initially. So Duncan is now a creative director. A creative talent over at this B-Site project. So you finally ascended into the world of being an executive.
I have in a way, but as I alluded to earlier on, I'm not an employee. Like, I'm still technically a freelancer. Technically, this league will only run for a maximum of 12 weeks over the year. So to me, it's basically like being an analyst still, but then also getting some say, like you say, on the executive level, having some say maybe in who joins the league, some of the tone of the league, get to have my ideas. Like essentially, there's almost like a production element to it as well. So it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. It's just that kind of role was never possible, basically. I mean, the closest you can maybe get is when ESL hired Carmack back in the day. But then again, that was to be a full-time employee. So I will say, I don't have equity in the league. I don't necessarily have a super long contract. I'm just here, like a lot of people, to see how it starts out. Hopefully, you'll have a lot of input. And if everything goes great, so far they've been aligned with my vision, we continue on. But I'll say this. At the start of, because obviously this show, there's going to be fans who only watch this show and don't watch any other content. If you didn't see my video where I announced some of the information as to why I'm involved, you have not seen me comment specifically on these leagues from the time I was signed in this league. I've actually remained silent, or I've retweeted, or I've said things that were very abstract. And that's because, much like you, Richard, I believe in the premise that you must recuse yourself when you have a direct involvement, especially if you have not declared that involvement. And so believe me, some of these people don't know the way the press works. You think they weren't asking me at some points in time, like, well, can't you say something about what ESL's saying? And I said, no, because nobody knows I work for you. So that would be taken as me being a neutral party, making a statement which would have no self-interest on that. So I said, I will make my statements and I will get involved like I do once I am in a position where I can make a disclaimer publicly that I am working for you and the rest of it. But as I said in that video, like I will still be able to retain a lot of autonomy. As in, if anyone hasn't noticed, right, you've already said Cloud9. Some of the other names, I'm going to have to cleverly do this until they're official. DK reported Gen G, for example. Certain other names might be involved. If indeed these teams are involved in the league, I would challenge you, go and watch my videos on their rosters and tell me how much you think I sold out to make those videos. I basically told Cloud9 their lineup shit and a disgrace to the Cloud9.
We've done it on this show.
You should see the shit I've got coming up for Dignitas if they, in fact, happen to end up being involved in the league. They're not going to like
to be
that.
called Dig now, apparently.
If you nip, you never can escape that Dig life, can you? Probably should save that. But anyway, no. The point I'm making is that's actually one of the reasons I have actually a lot of, I won't say belief because it sounds like too much like a fucking cult. Nice t-shirt, by the way. No, but the thing is, I will just say the reason why I actually have a lot of confidence that this press spec can work is because these people didn't bring me in and to give the big golden handshake, like, you'd have to sell out who you are and that, but it's worth it for the money. It's like, no, they are actually it's the other way around. I got them to buy into my vision. So they understand, as fucked as this sounds, I mean, this actually might be my legacy as a journalist, mate. I've managed to make teams understand that when I flame them the same way I would have done before, it's actually good that they are able to take that and that we can still do something in the project. That has been one of the reasons, to loop it back, I think this has never happened before because the stupid idiots who used to own these teams were so short-sighted and petty that the people who understand media, they always made us their enemy. Because I'll always phrase it that way. It's like when Jordan Peterson never says he has enemies, right? He says people who perceive me as their enemy. That's the problem these teams had. We would have worked with some. I could have helped half these fucking orgs make announcements of shit teams in the past if they'd have just come to me. I could have told them, here's how you frame it. Here's a way you can be honest and still say some good things. Oh, no, instead you've chosen to lie and say they're all brilliant and you've signed the best teams and you're just developing talent. That's like, this all ties into most of the sort of beefs and pet peeves I've had in esports and hopefully correcting some of them. I will just say, just to briefly go into some of the topic you were talking about, the more broad topic of exclusivity in CSGO. Yeah. Obviously, listen, here's another thing. I will be completely transparent. I won't say anything, obviously, it's not revealed, but I will say, to my knowledge, there is no plan for this league to be exclusive. One of the things, actually, which is a sign, by the way, that ESL and others, including associated with ESL, were the ones leaking this information. From months ago, there is no plan for this to be an exclusive league. Like, there will actually be an open qualifier component to this league. Now, word on the grapevine I've heard is there won't be free ESL. Oh, that's interesting. There won't be a free ESL Pro League. Interesting that the actual league that's exclusive, Blast Pro Series, will have a qualification system. This league will have a qualification system. The only league pushing for, as you said, restricted exclusivity. Like, they make you sign up for it basically first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to be a partner member.
The only league pushing for that at the moment is ESL. And here's the crazy thing that I can say that nobody else in this fucking business will say. I don't even blame them. If you actually know, if you look at Richard's report today about the deal that's failing for ESL, if you know the situation everyone is in esports, and especially the big TOs like ESL, I don't blame them for making a power grab, for seeing a scenario where, in theory, like as you said, Blasters, in theory, been the most hands-off this year. They get that they didn't succeed last year. Nickel and Ihom is gone. There's a different crew now. Then you look at our league. Our league is only going to run, like I said, 12 weeks. The idea, in fact, is if it wasn't for the fact ESL scheduled their first season of EPL over the top of it, in theory, we wouldn't even stop you playing in it. It's ESL that'll stop you playing in it. We would let you play in any league. You just cannot play in another league at the same time as ours because it's just logistically impossible. So I'm not saying all this to make it like we're the good guys, blah, blah, blah. I don't even believe there are good guys and bad guys in the scenario. I think there's just people who, I would say it like this. The people I'm working with, to my knowledge, are secure and understand the venture. And in fact, that's even why it won't even be the end of the world if some of those teams that have been reported aren't even that great, because the vision has a merit to it. Whereas I would just say, I wouldn't say ESL are bad guys. I would just say they're desperate and there are people above their pay grade in a bigger company who are trying to be movers and shakers. And that's actually something I have a lot of sympathy for some of the good people who work at ESL who would rather cooperate or have a cool CS scene, you know.
Yeah,
it'd be difficult to navigate though, for sure.
Well, look, so many, good points to sort of pick apart there. But before we do it, let's get to the key thing that sort of came up on Reddit, right? Which was this myth, this lie that it's because of your position with this league that you and me apparently have been leaning towards. We did a complete 180 apparently and started saying we were for exclusivity. Actually, exclusivity is brilliant. Now I know I did say on one of the past episodes where I was like, I don't know if exclusivity is the worst thing that can happen anymore, because I've seen what happens
compared to the game dying.
Yeah, well, when you see these tournament organizers, like Valve put them in a sandpit and said, look, there's enough toys for everyone.
Yes, good analogy.
Right? There's enough toys for everyone. You know, we trust you all to behave and share out the toys. You're all very mature kids. We're just going to go in the back and make some tea, and we'll have an occasional glance out the window, but just enjoy yourselves, play, express yourselves. Let's see what comes out. You know, and they go in and put the kettle on, and within minutes, ESL, the slightly chubby kid that eats 2 dinners, has fucking grabbed the Tonka truck, the fucking, all of the best toys in the sandpit is going, mine! And, leaving everyone else with fuck all. And so the other kids are like going, well, can I just, listen, you can't play with stickle bricks in a Tonka trunk at once, mate. Can I just have the stickle bricks then? No, you can't. We have to have an agreement. And it's just like, then what happened was the other kids started to fight and pull back, and then ESL started crying. They're taking my toys. And Valve are having a look over. Fucking hell, they've put the cup down. They've come out. What's going on here? They've divided everything up again. And they've said, guys, come on. You can all play nice. There's enough toys. There's some more toys. Just fucking, this is ridiculous. And on it's gone for years with these kids squabbling. And listen, ESL aren't even the worst offenders anymore, in my opinion, because there was this ridiculous scenario we got to where ESL was basically viewed as let's say a certain faction in World War II, and everyone else was
Star Wars, making a bit more.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the Empire from Star Wars. There you go. It's a lot safer, isn't it? Although apparently not. That's a fucking minefield now. That's a minefield now. Even Star Wars is a cultural thing. So yeah, and everyone else is like the resistance going up against them. Small disparate factions that aren't necessarily allies per se, but they identify that ESL.
They're just against the Empire.
Yeah, they're just against the Empire, and I think that's a ridiculous premise, frankly, and ESL do a lot of good for the scene and have represented a very stable and essential component of esports infrastructure holistically. In fact, for many years, especially when we came out of the 2009 economic collapse, ESL was the skeletal framework that pretty much held up esports.
They were the lifeboat.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a very complex and nuanced issue. There is no good and bad. But the reason that I am saying that now I almost feel exclusivity is a preferential option is because we're never resolving this. We're never getting away from the dick waving contests. We're never getting away from companies having to think about what's best for them. That's just unrealistic. And as we'll get into in a second, ESL are on the fucking ropes financially. If you think they ain't, you're not paying attention. They got problems. Their parent company is hemorrhaging cash. They're having big deals fall through. This proposed move into China that was going to rescue them didn't work out. Facebook didn't work out. All the money lifelines have been shut down. So it's a tough time for ESL, and we shouldn't want to lose them. But so you cannot blame them in a way for trying to do what is right to prop up a company that employs hundreds of people. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's like Tencent. Hundreds of people all around the world, and they're already downsizing. They're already scaling down in the UK. They're already scaling down in Germany, Poland. There's a lot going on there that people don't seem to be aware of. So that is why I said, if one business just won the battle outright, or if we had two separate leagues with two separate sets of teams and everyone was divided and the majors were the bridging factor and it was all Valve approved and Valve sanctioned and Valve had their input, I think that's the best case scenario we can hope for right now. That's my opinion. And I don't work for anybody. Yes. Remember, I don't have a dog in the fight. If people want to accuse Duncan of that, fine. Right?
No, that's where they did fuck up, though. You're right. Because here's the problem, right? If you're a cynical hater where all they do is just spin it to be like whatever, whatever angle is bad. Like, for example, you can be David Beckham. You can be like one of the best looking guys, best footballer player, that he's married to a Spice Girl. Right. Well, let's just judge him on the fact he's an idiot. It's like they'll always have an angle where you're just shit. Like, they just get to win no matter what. So the angle they're trying to take with me is obviously, I see you announced for Blast. Obviously just sold out to them, haven't you? No wonder you were saying about the Blast invites. Go on then. Show me when Richard's been announced for Blast. Because as I saw, Richard was saying the same thing. You notice, by the way, when it's on like bigger topics, we put aside the partisan shit. We actually just say what we think's good for the game. Like I'm telling you in this scenario, I agree with Richard. Even like put it this way, if I had a choice between some sort of Cold War battle between this site, B site, whatever the fuck, and EPL, or B-site wins and ESL dies, I would fucking choose the Cold War. I don't want ESL 1 Cologne to not exist anymore. Yep. B-site doesn't even have plans to do like a whole circuit of tournaments. It's just got 2 seasons a year. Like it would actually be a massive... I don't think there's anyone in the world can actually run big CSGO tournaments like ESL. That's not even what this league's going for. It's going to have its bit finals, yeah, but it's not going to have like an event every month in a big city all the way around the world on like 5 continents or something. There's only one company can do that in CSGO at the moment. So it's just the problem is, to draw it back in again, the major issue is it wouldn't be like even the people in the B-side, again, because the exclusivity doesn't come from B-side's side, they're fine with you being in B-side and playing every ESL tournament except the ESL Pro League, and that's just because of scheduling. The problem is, because for ESL, they also can't afford to just keep running the current circuit they have. They have to find a way to make it like, so you don't want to play in my ESL Pro League, but you do want to play in the rest of my tournaments. Well, yeah. Well, then you have to somehow play in my ESL Pro League. Valve said no exclusivity. All right, then you can play in my other tournaments, but I'll be issuing invites based on my world ranking. That's based on my tournaments that I like. Again, it's like what Blast did last year. They don't outright. That's why we termed it soft exclusivity. It's not even real exclusivity. It's just you cleverly convince people like, I have an offer you can't refuse. It's one of those things. So I get the angle on it. It's just that there's a lot of nuance to this topic, though. That's why people are seeing it. There's going to be a lot of stories on it. And by the way, everyone, you can discuss it and speculate all you want. I'll just say from the inside, it's super complicated. So hopefully we can get some of these details out as we discuss it.
Yeah. So, hopefully that puts pay to any idea that, like, look, by the numbers, it's a weird situation for me to process, because this went from being, when it first started in 2015 or whenever the fuck it was, this went from being basically an excuse for me and Duncan to talk about CS and make some money from Alpha Draft, the original sponsor, right? They were throwing money into esports like a lot of fantasy were before Once again, they killed the goose that they laid the golden egg, like every American company does, by it being exposed that like Out the Draft and DraftKings staff members were basically using insider information to bet on each other's platforms and win money. You can go look up
That's
this
why we
scandal.
can't have nice things, isn't it?
Yeah, we cannot have nice things. And that was what essentially got them regulated as if they were gambling. They always had a special dispensation in America. That fucked it up. That meant they withdrew their esports support. And that's what killed the first season of the podcast. That's why it's called Return of By the Numbers, because I didn't want to necessarily get into a legal snafu with Alpha Draft. By the way, talked to the Alpha Draft guys, and they were like, you can call it by the numbers if you want. We're totally fine with that. But I thought out of respect to that original legacy, because it was a moment in time, that was why I did it. Then when we brought it back, it went to being an excuse to talk about CS with my mate and get and make some money and bring something back for the community. It's why we Patreon funded it, and we didn't get a sponsor. Then somewhere along the line, it became kind of important again.
It's like
right?
Joe
Like,
Rogan Experience or something. It's kind of like a cultural touchstone. It really
yeah,
is for
well,
CS. That's not even
there's no way to
aggrandizing
talk
it,
about it without making it sound, like
sure, but
we're
it's kind of
arrogant
true.
assholes.
Like there has to be a forum on which people. By the way, if they do a better job with it, the HLTV podcast could be the same thing. I think thus far
absolutely.
they just haven't done a great enough job with it, But again, where like these discussions can only take place on Reddit otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
and that's no good for
Yeah.
anyone.
So but what I always have struggled with is that it's a forum to express our opinions and reveal stuff that's going on and give some analysis and break down big things that affect Counter-Strike. But what really started to become apparent the past year or two is like I do feel like we're fucking the watchers on the wall almost. Like we're the ones that are kind of saying this is happening, this is fucked up, it needs to change. I remember talking to the Face It guys after we crucified them for London. And it's not nice, by the way. People think this is fun. It's not nice to look somebody in the eye when they've had a rough event and it's tough and this is everything they care about and it was meant to be their high point and they've made mistakes and you have fucking wrecked them. And I remember being told then, the Face It guys were saying, you don't realize what that podcast does. Like, it can really, advertisers watch it, sponsors watch it, partners watch it, our staff watch it.
You've nailed it on the last one there. I'll tell you the most awkward moment for me, because listen, I'm enough of a weird bastard that I can handle some CEO being upset, and I'm just like, who gives a fuck to some guy? But the one that does wreck me, bear in mind, I'm someone who came back to ESL, came back to Black. By the way, I didn't really. If anyone thinks I'm a sellout, you'll never realize my story, which is the other way around, you idiots. I got them to come to me. That's actually what I did. I actually won against massive companies worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But forget that. Never make my story an aspirational one. Always make it that I'm the bad guy. Never done any crime in my entire life. All told a lie. Never mind that. Right. So, but the part that is awkward, I will fully admit, Richard, is it's not when you come in, because listen, the guys who run these companies, you've seen like Nicola Nime's not there anymore, but you know what these people are like. Like they're all just fucking used car salesmen with the like smile from fucking Transmetropolitan, from the smile. They can make you believe that they're cool with you being there when you've been straight talking that mad shit. But I'll tell you who can't hide that, because they're not actors, is the fucking staff of these companies. And when they have to come in and be like, hello, Thorn, glad you're back. It's like, are you though? This might take a while to fix this relationship, because all you see is the guy who you think's just been tearing down the company that you've literally invested all your passion and your belief in. Because if anyone doesn't know, yes, the guys at the top are often liars and con men and shills. But I tell you what, the people who work for the companies in esports, especially at the office level, they're the true believers. They're God's soldiers. They really believe ESL's the truth, that they're going to change the world. They believe Blasted. Of course they do. So I agree with you. They're the people I feel the most sorry for. But the problem is, yes, certainly the way we do it is our own idiosyncrasies and there's our choice, like the tone we take. But the actual what we're doing is important. And even if they don't see it now, it's like doing like surgery or something. Like, sorry, we just sometimes have to cut out the cancer. Even if it seems like it's hurting you initially, the treatment, we have to do it. Sorry, it needs to be done. Because I agree. I actually think, whereas in the past, a lot of the show was just like we were having fun, so we could just shit talk a lot. I have tried to put more responsibility into it now. Certain people I still will go off on, but like I do sometimes try. Like that's why I go out my way more to now almost like give the side that we're wrecking their fair due as well, as it were. I don't just make it what my own feelings are only.
But the reason I'm setting all of this up is I want people to know that, for example, if I ever thought Duncan was like ethically compromised, right? Like if I thought he was gonna sit here and fucking just blow smoke up everyone's ass and just lie and use this as a platform to like peddle an agenda for a corporate entity in esports, I'd tell him like we can't do the show anymore. Obviously. Because
Of course.
the important function that I think this podcast fulfills, if nothing else, it's great when we get memes, isn't it? It's great that we get Nick, Despicable and fucking Smooyes, the Rat King, and all these little moments that go on to sort of cross over mimetically into the scene. That's all great. But its primary function is keeping these fucking people on notice. That's the primary function. And it does work. And it's took me a while to realize it works. We're not shouting into the void here. We're actually making a positive difference. So
I'll even say as well, by the way, if something happens with this project that's fucked up, I've no doubt eventually there's going to be something that people disagree with, or if you're not within the company, seems outrageous. I'm not going to go, no, but Richard, you got to understand, like, and then just say all the shit my boss does. No, like in that scenario, I will recuse myself. If it's something I cannot speak on, but it's something that's like mild, then Richard will give his part and I will sit silently and then we'll wait till the next segment, or we'll just discuss it and I'll say my angle. But I will never be like a company man in that sense. That's just not the way I am as a person. Like, there'll be no point someone even trying to do it. I'm like that shit when Terrence McKenna said, like, don't tell me a secret. I don't keep secrets. Like that's almost the way I am. It's like, if you can't handle it, get the fuck out.
I mean, and look, so I hope people also look at a track record of everything like we've done, all of the fights that we've taken, all of the stances we've taken down the years, whether it's me saying I won't work for ESL when they wouldn't hire Duncan, or whether it was us like calling out the Blast, not just on a format level, but all the consumer stuff they've done. How many times have we gone to war with ESL and then made up, and we've always found our way back to center? How many times have we gone to war with tournament organizers that were hiring us and then suddenly don't? If I ever want to toss my hat into the ring to go and do events again, saying the shit I'm saying is not.
Oh, of course.
All I'm doing is making it harder for myself. So
that's why that angle that people always bring up, like, there's the person who their way of being cynical and pretend like they know what they're talking about is they think they know the master plan. So they go, what they do is they just do it for views and clicks and it builds their brand. It's like, no, you idiot. Like half the shit we're saying now, I could say the cool half and make all the money and have no problems whatsoever. Saying the other half, which sometimes isn't even the part you want to say, kills your career opportunities. Like that really does piss companies off for years, or certain people forever. I mean, I might be able to reveal some stuff in the coming months about why certain teams weren't invited to certain leagues in the world. Some of that's just petty fucking bullshit when you go to the bottom of it. Wasn't even business for some of them. So like, there's a lot of dangerous stuff that we say. Yeah, we get away with some of it. That's fun in games. Some of it has a cost though, for real. And it's just worth paying, I'm afraid.
So these are some of the other things let's get into. So let's talk about the ESL Lanxess agreement. We can sort of talk about a very early draft of it now. Now, I have to say, just as well, so everybody knows what the fuck is going on. Whenever we get to these moments in Counter-Strike where people are battling and trying to win and the Game of Thrones shit's going on, my Dropbox email where people just fucking send shit, it just gets filled up with everyone's secrets. It's unreal. And it's like, I know what's going on. This is, Richard will blindly put shit out and fucking, he'll fight our battles for us and everyone has the same idea at the same collective, So I have to stress that, I'm aware that I got sent this agreement by whoever the fuck it was for that express purpose. They wanted me to publish it. And they wanted me to publish it kind of without the caveat that this is not the final version, and hey, look what the ESL are trying to do, and I'm not that easily manipulated. Obviously, been around the block, not gonna fall for it. Never gonna be anyone's mouthpiece. But what I will say is, in publishing the contract, the agreement, what's interesting is ESL have said, sure, we're gonna make some changes to it. Mostly based around the exclusivity and possibly some changes in how the ranking works. That is now being discussed at a meeting between today and the 24th with stakeholders, players, etc. But there's plenty of other things that they didn't mention they were going to change. And some of these things could be potentially concerning. As I said, for example, ESL also have now a part of the business that operates as an agency and will generate revenue for all of its partner members, and keep a share. Well, what's going on with the Tfue Face thing? If that's going to, because I get that it's happening in Germany. That's what the agreement says. That's where the country is. But if any of these stakeholders are California-based businesses, you could get embroiled in all of this. Do you need licensure to be an agency? You've got some pretty harsh demands now. ESL in this essentially get to dictate who you have on the roster, because they say if you do not field a roster of 3 players deemed to be in the top 500 players in the world, according to ESL, they will cut your revenue share by 50%. So some of these things they're implementing are unprecedented. And on top of that, we know that because ESL controls 80% of the calendar, all they have to do realistically is change a date to clash with a rival, and suddenly you force somebody to make choices. And it says here, if you miss,
you're only allowed to turn 2 invites down a year.
In a calendar year. You can only turn down 2 events in a calendar year for ESL, or you forfeit your entire year share of the revenue.
By the way, think about this. I'll contrast it again, not with my league. I'll do it with Blast here. Yeah. Blast at least were clever enough to spin the positive. You have to only attend 5 out of the 7 events. They did essentially the same thing, but they were smart enough to spin the positive side of it. ESL is doing the fucking Old Testament, thou shalt not turn down 3 events. Or they haven't even spun it well. So, by the way, one thing I'll say is on a lot of the economic shit, I don't have a business degree. I know very rudimentary things that I've learned as a layman and as a journalist in this space. I will say we'll announce more details about it maybe later, but there'll be something coming tomorrow where we will have someone actually who can talk about some of the specific economics. Because basically, in terms of the angle you said there about the whole agency split thing, I've heard basically that even the way that was phrased was purposely phrased in a way that is not what is actually going to happen. It's just that if you were a layman, you won't understand it. So basically, they made it sound like the teams share 85% of the revenue and ESL keeps 15%. As far as I know, and again, we'll get someone who's way more knowledgeable about business than me to talk about this, what they don't explain is they take their 15% off the top before anyone takes a share. Then they start splitting up, and basically it doesn't end up being at all 85. So there's a lot of trickery here where someone isn't explicitly lying. Nothing they're saying is untrue. But again, they understand that in the same way as if you ever have to encounter the legal system, and Richard will tell you this from the Tfue situation, there's a reason they don't call that language English. They call it legalese. The way you write things cannot just be interpreted on a face value level. These mean other things than what they're saying. That's why actually we need experts to help us with some of this shit. It's really complicated.
Yeah, I mean, even for people who've been in the business 2 decades, because now we're kicking it up a notch. This isn't the fucking, bullshit we were used to, where contracts were literally fucking scribbled out. This is real high-level legal trickery done by some top law firms in the world.
Potentially, it's hundreds of millions could be going through this.
Absolutely.
So we're at the biggest level here.
So anyway, I would urge people, if you're interested in reading more about that agreement and seeing the agreement, you can go over to Dexerto.com, where I was able to, publish this after I spoke to various parties, including ESL, verified it was an accurate document. I will add as well that up until that point, the reporting DK has done and continues to do is absolutely stellar. In fact, I would go so far as to say his start to 2020 with all of the stories around this,
killing it.
We're getting towards him now, entering another dimension in terms of esports journalism. And I got to take my hats off to him. He's been all over this, and he's over at Double Tap now. I've had my issues with them in the past, but certainly never had an issue with DK. And this is his magnum opus, kind of where he's at right now. He's in a great space. So be sure.
By the way, I'll even add as well, that's something that I have made very clear. Again, I don't control these people, but I do have influence over them. One thing I've made very clear to the ownership and the hierarchy within the B-Site project is do not for 1 second, especially not if I'm involved, do not imagine you can influence these journalists and make them publish what you want to publish. The whole reason why I hope that that information comes through people like you or DK is because I can trust these people will vet the information, and that if any of it's even tweaked or cooked at all, you guys will verify with other sources and you will find that out. And that means that the part that's legit will come out and the part that isn't legit will not make it through. So I think that's just a lesson I hope all companies would take, is if you're not full of shit, you don't have anything to hide in that sense. You can just give the information and trust they will do their job. But it doesn't mean they'll phrase it the way you want it to be phrased or hit the key point you want. They're not your fucking puppet. So I hope, again, this is something, it might be a naive dream in that sense when I look at big business, but I hope it's something that in a reasonable world, we don't have to all be using smoke and mirrors all the time on every bloody thing that goes out publicly.
Yeah. So let's also talk about why ESL is kind of in this position and how it's come to this. So we alluded to it earlier, but those of you who've been around a while will remember when MTG, a Swedish tech company that had worked alongside DreamHack in the past to do some esports projects. This is one of the legacies of the Mad King of Sweden, Robert Olin, who did so much exciting stuff over at DreamHack. Well, one of the things he did was he connected with MTG, a Swedish tech company, said, look at all the cool shit we're doing here. And they worked together on broadcasts. They worked together on, including, funnily enough, the Good Studio, which at the time was just ahead of its time, to put all of these personalities in a big house and create content out of it. It's a great idea that's been replicated many times since. Yeah, it would absolutely be the shit now, especially with the people they had in the house, Semler, Too Good, Trance, all these like legends. But unfortunately, it was just too soon. Well, MTG spent $1 million on that, I think. So this is the kind of money that we're willing to put into the project. It was cuddled along with DreamHack. When DreamHack and ESL were kind of, merging, if you want to call it that, when ESL were coming to take in, when MTG bought DreamHack and then went to buy ESL and created this merger, and they were super interested in expanding. They went to ESEA. So you end up with all these esports products under one roof. And this should have been like an empire. This should have been dynastic. But unfortunately, what we've had in esports is the trend right now is to throw unsustainable money at it because we believe we're creating something that will not just be sustainable, but will be hugely profitable. Unfortunately, people thought that would happen in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and it hasn't happened yet. And what this has led to is a lot of these big companies that invested, they're losing money now at a rate that doesn't make sense for five years or whatever it is into an investment. So what we've seen with MTG in particular is they're hemorrhaging cash. They're hemorrhaging cash. They expanded into this huge area thinking, we've not just got Sweden's biggest esports product, we've got Europe's biggest esports product and potentially America's biggest esports product, or one of them, in one fell swoop. And now, I think it was like, what was it, last year financially, 45 million out the door. And they're looking for ways to make money and leverage their assets, their portfolio. One of those ways was the Facebook deal, because everybody wants esports content. They know they want it. They don't know why. That's the key thing. They just know they do want it. They know the right demographic is watching it, and they know that it's ripe for fucking advertising and exploitation, sort of, if you know what you're doing. But unfortunately, that's all they know, because these are cunts in suits. In fact, they're not, they're barely human. It's just a swirling, wind of greed with a fucking tie on. It's
like one of those ridiculous, like Hollywood, like cliches of like, they just hear a name and they're like, Benson, bring me this Benson guy. Like, I mean, like that's what you imagine, some guy who's just totally out of touch and he's just getting
I've met a lot of them.
Cargo cult level shit thinking it'll work.
I've met a lot of them, and this is how I judge people now when I talk to these people. If they've done their homework and they actually know what the fuck they're talking about, I'll give them the time of day. But any of these big, I'm not impressed with a fucking, gold Rolex and a fucking expensive suit and a cigar. And so Richard, can you tell me all about this? Get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out of my face. Like, I don't care anymore. I was never for sale anyway. You weren't going to fucking impress me, back then. You certainly aren't now. And this new generation of people who were fucked up are starting to, some are coming back, cap in hand. We're really sorry. We should have respected your shit. I say fuck those people, but, that's me. But now the people that are coming in have done a bit of homework and they want to get you in a room and they're telling you, like, tell me what to do. What do you think? They've started to realize the trick to esports is it isn't like sports. You know, the Activision Blizzard executives are learning this slowly but surely the hard way. When they kicked out an entire tier of endemic esports people, they threw away about 120 years of esports experience to bring in cunts from fucking, sports networks. Perfect. They don't know esports. That's the point. So anyway, so what started to happen, unfortunately, is all of these companies don't know how to monetize it. Facebook thought they did. Facebook said, we'll pay top dollar to ESL to get Dota and all of these great events exclusively in English on our platform. Slight problem. Facebook's tech, to streaming, it was an afterthought, like everything else they do. They own VR shit, they own this, they own that. Essentially, what they've got now is just going the way of MySpace, especially because we realize increasingly the only reason they kept their outdated tech and shit platform that only boomers use, boomers and people who want to see what their exes are up to, they realize that actually, they're selling all the data. That's what they do. They just fucking spy on you and sell you data. That's how they're making the money off that. And now they want to get in the government and all this other freaky, creepy shit. They don't really care about streaming. They're just chucking enough shit at a wall to see what sticks.
Have you ever seen that meme? It's an old one, but it's a classic one where there's that kid and he's talking to like fucking Mark Zuckerberg, and it's just a picture of him, and he says to Mark Zuckerberg, like, my dad says you're just spying on us, and he goes, he's not your dad. That's the meme.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. Yeah. Whoever made that. It's on the nose.
Yeah, of course. It's classic. So the reality there is that the Facebook deal was they were the rube. They were the mark. They were the idiot getting worked by ESL. Yeah, we'll give you some esports content, but this esports really popping off, and you'll get huge numbers, huge potential to sell this key demographic. Ooh, let's say, and this is just a number I'm going to pull out my ass, we'll need 30 million for 26 broadcasts. And Facebook go, yeah, we got more money than God, give a fuck. Zuckerberg is fucking data from Next Generation, mate. He doesn't even need money. We just plug him in and, he just charges batteries. It's fine. He doesn't have any desires. He just wants to follow the Prime Directive. That's it. So they made it. They made the money. And then what happened? Facebook's tech let them down massively. Huge community backlash because the community said, no, us, the people that watch your broadcast for free, we demand absolutely that you hire every member of talent we like on massive day rates, and we demand that you have huge stages with huge screens in huge venues, and don't you dare make your ticket price more than $5.
Better be $20 so I can come every day.
Right? And we better get free t-shirts fired out of guns. And it's just layer upon layer on layer of want and desire. And we want it for free! For fucking free! We will not even spend the price of a Twitch Prime sub. Sorry to sound like Bad Bunny for 2 minutes. Someone actually made the point the other day. Oh, it's just the same as when you say, right, if you saw that clip, it's just the same as when you say esports fans don't pay up. No, it's a fucking world of difference. There's a whole infrastructure here with everybody else getting paid.
If Bad Bunny loses 45 million, I'll say fair play. They should sub.
Yeah, exactly.
That's in fact one thing I want to say. By the way, if you're a pro player in CS, I know some of you watch. Shut the fuck up. You're not cool by pretending you don't. How could you get assaulted by the shit we say if you don't watch, you moron? You should love me otherwise. So all I'll say is, if you're a pro player, is it sinking in yet, you thick-skulled fucking moron, that if the company's losing 45 million and MTG's basically saying, can we just sell the esports only part of our entire fucking catalogue? Maybe they're not getting rich off you and exploiting you, you fucking imbecile. You're actually getting way beyond what you need. You should, proportionate to your industry. You're the only industry I'm actually ever aware of where the guy who says he's in a sweatshop is the only one making a profit, and the sweatshop's going out of business giving you a fucking job. It doesn't even make sense. Like, your whole model is fucked. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you sound like a Bernie fanboy or something. Like, oh, I hate millionaires now. Wait, not you, Bernie. Like, what are you talking about? This is madness.
So anyway, I get it, right? Like, the Facebook streams were apparently trash. Now, I'll be honest. on my laptop, on my desktop,
They always
in
work fine for
airports.
me, I have to say. I'm
I
not
know.
lying.
This is what I mean. It was like, is everyone just playing a prank on me? Because every time I turned it on, it was fine. Like, I swear. I'm not even just saying that. I did a video about it, which got massively fucking, thumbs down. Boo, boo. Thumbs down for your opinion, Mr. Lewis. Here we are now, of course, esports, so close to being into some sort of cataclysmic financial collapse.
There's one thing to say as well, by the way. That's why the stupidest angle that people took when they thought ESL was making loads of money off all this, and of course it must be succeeding. Of course, my favorite team's succeeding. Read that article today, by the way, where DK even has Dan from Cloud9 say that their team literally loses millions of dollars running the CSGO team and received $70,000 from ESL for all of 2019. Like, if you understand the position the TOs and the orgs are in, which I've always said, game dev and player are the ones making all the money. Org and TO are the ones paying that fucking money. You're not paying it, they're paying it. So what's ridiculous right now is people are talking like what everyone says. If you ever say esports fans really, if they want it to continue, should pay more or should be happy that there's broadcast rights. They're like, no, there isn't. And you know what? They always do this glib logic that kills me, where they go, and if your company can't survive without selling to Facebook, then you should go out of business. And you know what? Someone else will just come along and wait a minute, I'll stop you right there. No, they won't. Who the fuck would willingly, with all their money, step into ESL's shoes now? I've told you the B-Side project isn't trying to do that. They don't want to fucking start doing massive stadium events. You lose money doing that. It's only you plebs who go there and go, $70 for 45 hours entertainment in a stadium that normally charges about 100 per hour. This is outrageous. And I only got a hot dog as the food. Like, give me a break. Like, we are the most ridiculously entitled generation of all time, right? It's free. It's all free for all of us.
I know, it's insane. So the Facebook deal was one way ESL could have made big money, but that deal kind of got kiboshed partway through because of the community backlash and everyone getting upset, and even Valve got upset about it because listen, I'm just gonna. Who gives a fuck at this point, right? Like I say, I'm on the edge. So I've people will notice I've started fostering, a little bit of resentment towards Valve because it does seem absurd to me. Valve seem to live in this world where it's only us can make profits, and not just profits. We have to make profits on everything all of the fucking time.
Where have I heard that before? It's almost like, I've always gave that analogy that Valve are not the good parents. They're just the latchkey. We're the latchkey generation. They're just not in. So you just don't get to see how bad they are. The second these game devs come home and see the kids, they're the worst parents of all time. They're all fucking Riot Games, just with a different mascot. It's like, Valve, who's that under there? It was Riot Games the whole time. They gave me daughter's finding that out right now, mate. Like,
yeah, I know.
It ain't
no,
good.
But think about this, right? For a moment, like, they've got this incredible market system, and they're like, hey, you can own all these items. You ever want to sell them, though? Don't worry. First, we take a cut if you sell the item. And PS, you can only use it in a hermetically sealed marketplace, so it all comes back to us anyways. We taking a cut for. Fuck this. It's insane. Profit on everything. Profit on everything. They even had a blind spot for it. It's one of the main reasons Artifact got fucked up. Because, you had to fucking pay for the game and then buy the fucking cards. The market was mental on the first couple of days when it had players.
Which, by the way, is the whole reason why Hearthstone as a game conceptually was better than Magic the Gathering. Of course, Magic the Gathering is fucking Hearthstone, but a better version. But Magic the Gathering was so stupid, they still wanted you to buy every fucking card. Whereas Hearthstone understood the premise, like, if you have to do that, no one's going to play. There's going to be 1,000 people playing. So it's amazing how they always miss their own business model.
So Valve came out and even put in one of their statements in one of their Dota blogs, and we want tournament organizers to use streaming platforms that the community approve of. Brilliant. We're going to let fucking Twathead22 on Reddit dictate the business needs of every tournament organizer in the scene. And this thing, Twathead22 ain't even a real fucking fan, is he? He's not even a real person. He's some cunt with a Reddit account. Probably got 10 of the bastards typing to himself complete nonsense, hoping one of them goes viral because he's a fucking pleb with nothing going on. And he's fucking telling us what we need to prop up our industry that employs fucking tens of thousands of fucking people. And that's what we're listening to. to, and that's what Valve's pandering to. It's fucking bollocks. So ESL are like, perfect, yeah, our fucking partner that licenses us the game, we have to go capping fucking hand to all the time. Oh, Valve, please, sir, please, may we run an super expensive tournament we make a loss on to promote your fucking game and your esport? And Valve go, yes. You will be putting it on Twitch, won't you? Well, Gabe, we did have a deal with Mixer that was going to make it so we could make a profit this year. Absolutely outrageous, says giant Gabe Newell, made of solid gold. He just put his brain in a gold chassis because he can, because how much money he's made. Do you not see a fucking problem with all of this? You know, this is what I mean when I say I'm sympathetic to ESL. They are not an evil empire by any stretch of the imagination. No wonder they're jaded and trying to fuck everyone all of the time. Right? Anyway, so that was one way, shut down. Now they had another one where they were negotiating with a Chinese streaming platform called Huya, which, you know, who are you? The jokes write themselves, kids. But anyway, Huya is, along with Douyu, probably the two biggest streaming platforms in China. And both of which have had a massive investment from Tencent. Kel surprise. Who knew? It's almost as if Tencent was the fucking problem. But anyway, Tencent threw $461 million into this. And the proviso is that in 2 more years, they have the option to buy a 50.1% shareholding, so Tencent will completely run the company. Now, you might remember, if you're eagle-eyed and wolf-eared, I think they can hear, we were talking about, there was rumors going around about a Tencent entity trying to get into ESL, trying to buy ESL. We told you this last year, and that they were in talks with a Singaporean tech company as well. These were stories that I just couldn't get across the line. They didn't meet the evidentiary standard to publish, but I was happy to talk about them from a speculative perspective on a podcast. That was this. And they got to the fiduciary duty stage, and everyone looking at the books, and everyone seemed to be happy with it. And then at the 11th hour, they've had like some argument over terminology and responsibility. Now, this has cost them $30 million.
Oh.
This has cost them $30 million. This has cost ESL, Turtle Entertainment, $30 million, and potentially hampers them going to China, and on top of that has led to a 20% drop in share price value, because it went up when the rumors were going around. Knowing, I'm not even going to say the words. It all went up when the rumors were going around. Everyone was like, you know, China, here I come, all that fucking glorious money.
As a quick aside for someone who doesn't understand the context, you know, when the idiots in the media who are being paid to tell you that all the problems in the world are billionaires tell you absolutely disingenuously that, like, Bill Gates has $80 billion. No, Bill Gates does not have $80 billion. He could not literally right now just take $80 billion out the bank.
No.
What he has is $80 billion net worth. Now, what an idiot doesn't understand when they go, how did he earn that? He didn't, you fucking idiot. Half of it's probably in stock. So as a result, if tomorrow Microsoft tanks in the stock market, Bill Gates will overnight wake up with $10 billion or something crazy like that. So what this means is even the people who are the big power players at MTG are waking up like, my stock dropped what? Like, that's their fucking portfolio, boys. Like, people jump out of the window when it gets numbers a bit higher than that. Like, this is no joke. This is like earth-shaking news. Like, to you and me, we don't have stocks, so we don't think it's anything, but it's a big deal. The big deal.
So, again, this is why ESL are trying to do what they're trying to do. It's been described to me privately behind the scenes that the Pro League is like a Hail Mary pass of sorts, that they want to lock down big business partners to this league, to this project. But also, that news about the Huya deal couldn't come at the worst time. Do you want to know why? Because they had to address what was going on operationally with ESL in their statement on the MTG site. Jorgen Madsen Lindemann, the CEO and president of MTG, said that it will have, quote, no operational impact on ESL in 2020. Do you see the problem, guys? He didn't say it will have no operational impact on ESL. He stipulated this year.
Yes. And for people who don't know, by the way, again, look, this is the thing. Unless people tell me explicitly, I'm not just going to keep stuff secret. So I'll tell you this. Another reason I don't like the methodology ESL took. Basically, there's certain things I personally wouldn't do ethically. I just don't think they're good for the community. But they're not illegal. You are allowed to do it. And if you want this to be your Hail Mary play, you can do it. One of the reasons why I totally get why ESL is making this move is go and look at the amount that MTG say they are losing from the esports amounts, and go and look at what monies they have at the moment, and look in the terms for the new ESL Pro Tour and how much is the guaranteed minimum. They have to have the money whether they make the rev or not. So they literally are gonna, like, that's why you can't do this for like 10 years without winning, basically, in their position. Their problem is they're painted into a corner and they have to win the whole game board. They can't just survive and grow. Like that's the point Richard's been making. If you wanted to grow steadily, you wouldn't have pumped it all up and accelerated it all these years. Now you're going like fucking 88 miles an hour. You have to go through time, otherwise you fucking crash into the wall.
But that's why you should explain the concept of that fucking tweet you put out. I'll find it for you if you want. It's, you know which one I'm talking about. But you put out a tweet where it was a business person describing the concept of, driving things down.
Yes. Basically, what someone said, it's because it's one of those things where when I read the premise, it just crystallized concepts that otherwise were disconnected for me, where basically what someone said, okay, right, it's the question every pleb asks. I asked it myself many years until about 2 years ago. Why would anyone with all this venture capital invest it all if they're going to lose their money? Because basically the premise is this: since you have the money coming in, your plan is just to make everyone else go out of business because they have to make money. They're businesses. So when they can't make money and you just keep pumping it in, and in fact, when you accelerate the market and accelerate beyond the levels they can get, I remember Cloud9 and those orgs used to run as businesses. Now they had to take VC themselves to stay afloat with the G2s of the world. Yep. So what you're doing is, it's going to crash. You're like those cynical motherfuckers like fucking Warren Buffett, who's just waiting for the stock market to crash so he can instantly liquidize loads of his money and buy as many stocks as he can. So when it recovers, you own the fucking space. So essentially, this is what Rich is referring to. This thread was about the fact that one of the reasons the VC aggressively pumps itself into spaces that are not tenable now is so that when everyone goes bust, and one day it could be success, they own everything by then, but at pennies on the dollar. That's the thing. They're not rushing. Notice, by the way, think of this. You're being told there are valuations of $300 million for teams in Forbes. By the way, the most fucking crooked, cooked reports I've ever seen in my life. No way they could be legit. But this is the thing. Explain this to me. If esports is totally legit now and will be big in 5 years, why the fuck would the person who might pay 300 million not just buy ESL? I tell you why, because they want ESL to crash. They want to buy ESL for $1 million, or they want to buy the next ESL for $1 million, and then they're going to ride it back up, because that's how you make money. You don't make money coming in now and buying at the top, and then it's not. That's the point. The money coming in is cynical, essentially.
Well, look, I'll read you exactly what was said. I've got it in front of me. So this is by a guy called Aram Zucker-Scharf. I don't know the guy, never come across him.
It wasn't a thread about esports for people, by the way, which is the interesting thing.
This was just about VC investment strategies in general.
Dip it in, I thought,
but when I read this to people in the space, the fans that are watching now, people watching on the VOD, tell me if this sounds familiar, guys. VC investment strategies. In fact, actually, Sam, you can even bring it up so people can, maybe go to the guy's Twitter and give him a follow. Again, I can't vouch for the dude, don't know him. He doesn't have a blue check mark next to his name, so that's something.
Just a random person I found on Twitter.
Yeah, VC investment strategies make slightly more sense when you consider what the real definition of disruption is. Disruption. Unsustainable driving down of product/service to lowest possible price point using other people's money to bankrupt competitors. Disruption. Using unsustainable business practice to drive competitors out of the industry, take their customers, and return the price point to its origin. When you realize this, you realize that VCs invest in companies and industries they believe are filled with easily destroyed competitors. So really, venture capital is like a brute force attack. Hope that if you expend all your energy and dollars gracelessly smacking everyone, you'll be the last standing. This is why VC-backed media is inherently offensive. It simultaneously displays complete contempt for existing orgs and works to defeat them. And it's also why VC-backed is VC-backed companies are so hard to defeat. You have to defend an attack, and they can overextend themselves into an attack with no risk. So that's what's going on in esports right now. That is what is going on in esports. All these VC groups, they're not talking about let's create and build something that's going to last for generations. No,
Richard,
because
I'll give you an example.
You'd have to live in harmony with everybody else.
Exactly. You've nailed it there. There's the thing that people miss. Again, think about this, right? You're told that the world exists as this free market of companies who work together and against each other. But, it's all just about making money. And we're not trying to ruin each other's businesses. We're just trying to make money ourselves. If that were true, then the lie of esports could not be real. Because logically, if these teams are worth $300 million and the leagues could make loads of money in revenue, here's what you would do if you had $100 million. You'd buy ESL, you'd buy MLG, you'd buy fucking whatever, some other companies, something in Korea. You'd unite them all. You'd unite the scenes with all the money, which you could do tomorrow if you bought these companies, by the way, and you would just grow it as a healthy scene that you believe can grow. That's not what they do. If they even invest, they do it as a proxy to battle the other people, like you're saying. This could actually all be solved if the money was real. It's only been used for a certain intent.
So this is something to be mindful of, and this is why it's a very dangerous time. And remember, ESL, they were funded by someone else's money. Now we're starting to see rival leagues, rival tournament organizers, rival companies. They're taking other people's money. They're taking investment. Even teams, orgs are doing it. Astralis is floating on the fucking stock market, for fuck's sake, after being supposedly a player-owned organization.
By the way, can I
Weird
just
how
say,
that trend never panned out, isn't it?
Quick shout out to everyone who's so stupid they believe that if Astralis wins the next major, the stock price goes up. If you actually believe that's the way the world works, then I would just say something like, look at the stock price of like McDonald's or something. It's not because they sell all the burgers that the stock price goes up. And also, if you actually do look at the success of that stock so far, it hasn't done well so far.
No.
Again, that's not the way it works, guys. Please stop.
I mean, I would just go so far as to say, I don't think I would ever buy stocks in an esports team.
That's why the most genius angle was when they tried to spin it want to get in on the Astralis business. They're not in the Astralis business if you, but you're speculating on Astralis on a fucking virtual market. And then again, I'm saying that to people who buy skins. Why am I doing that? Whatever.
But anyway, so let's bring it back to what we initially started talking about, and I hope that has been sort of enlightening. I know this is kind of a heavier episode of the show. We're going a lot into the business side of things and the finances, and maybe that interests some of you, and maybe it doesn't interest some of you. And you can always just skip this show. Good news is we're going to do 2 this week anyway because we missed last week. So we'll be back to fucking making dick jokes and laughing at Australian players and people who look like vermin. All the classics will be out. But for now, I think this is really important, and I want to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page that we're on, which is that it's not as simple as to say ESL bad, everyone else good. That we've got industry-wide problems, and let me tell you something. There's dominoes. They're lined up. Actually, you probably don't see them, but we're all laughing about the Overwatch League. Of course we are. It's a fucking joke. What a clown fiesta. It is the most successful leveraging of fear of missing out I think I've ever seen. Activision Blizzard went to all of these sports groups. You want to be in that esports where all the kids are. They only spend $3 at the moment, but we're pretty sure with the right products in the right direction, we could jack that up to $10 per person, $18 per person. Get them buying tickets, attending live events, hook them into a sport for life. Get football fans before they're football fans, essentially, and lock it all down. And you get to do it with us, a trusted, sleazy business partner, Activision Blizzard. And so it seemed, and they were like, fucking hell, yeah, shit, man. Sports are kind of going the way of the dinosaur. What's going to happen to the NFL when, people say, you can't wear the helmets anymore, it's killing motherfuckers? What's going to happen then? What's going to happen to the NBA? What's going to happen to baseball? A kid's going to want to play that. Are they going to play video games? It's becoming more and more respected. Let's do it. We can get in cheap now. And Activision Blizzard are good guys, Of course, good. Yeah, they're good. They're good guys. This is a corporate sleazy fuck talking, obviously, in the scenario. So so they went and they did it. And what have they got for the money? For $20 million to buy a team that costs you well in excess of $1 million a season to run. For what? for what kind of exposure, for what kind of stuff. You know, the revenue share's pitiful, but we're all laughing about it because it is ostensibly funny on the surface. But what happens if the Overwatch League fails at the same time as ESL collapses and gets sold to disparate parts because they can't do a deal with China? Or even worse, what happens if it doesn't fail, but the only way that these parts can be kept upright is by Tencent? I think that's almost a bigger nightmare. But let's just stick to nightmare.
Yeah, that's basically the loan shark that comes in that keeps you alive for a week. There's a reason why they're called a loan shark. Like one day you're gonna have to pay. It's gonna be in power or money.
Yeah. So and let's also go one further, because it's not just OWL that's on the.
We can do a lot of
CDL
stuff.
is too.
Listen, guys, we can prompt ESL to respond to things we do and push face it. We can listen. It's too much. We can't beat China. We're not fucking Don Quixote. We can't do that. You have to understand, guys.
No.
The two people talking shit about a rat king can't beat the entire country of China. Like, be reasonable.
I've tried. I've tried. It's not fun. But anyway, so let's just take a look at the landscape of what's going on. We know that some of the smaller TOs are struggling too. We know StarLadder is. We know there's been issues over there. I know of people that have run Dota events that have lost money. I know of, leagues and ladders and tournaments that are starting to get behind in payments. ESL, as we've already said, is a huge player. We got OWL, CDL. If all of these things...
Even DreamHack just announced that, hey, good news, we've upgraded DreamHack Summer to a Masters event. That means you don't have any fucking money for Masters events, you dumb cunt. DreamHack, that's the past. That's like if the CPL came back and they're like, we're back in the Hyatt basement. It's like, well, that's not good, is it? Like, that's bad. So you can see everyone's feeling the pinch. Everyone.
Yeah. So what happens if all of these things fucking nosedive all at once, guys?
There'll be no more games for the ones you enjoy. That's for sure. League of Legends, that's it.
I'll tell you, it's not good. It's essentially a self-contained market crash. And I've said I don't think we're in a bubble. It's not. We're not in a bubble, because there are sustainable games and there are sustainable ways to make revenue. Yeah, it's just what's happened.
A few years ago, we were making money. That's the crazy
thing. Exactly. It's that these we're just not making enough money quick enough for these greedy fuckheads who are swaggering into the scene and want it all unlocked from day one. That's the problem. We welcomed them in. The greedy people said, you can come in, we're greedy too, we'll sell you everything. We'll sell our legendary brands, our tournaments, put you here, put you there. We'll do anything you want, sir. Just give us the money. And because of that, we're now facing such a downturn potentially. We'll all be fine. People like me and Duncan will still make money. Talent will still make money. Your favorite games will still have tournaments. It just won't be, it'll be where esports should have been, not where these cunts have tried to force it to be.
Mate, I'll tell you something. Again, if people don't believe me, they won't believe me. So I don't even have to give that disclaimer. When I argue publicly, I don't know if people have noticed this trend on Twitter, where I literally subtweet the talent in CSGO and wreck them for being greedy and not understanding the business. You are aware I'm essentially arguing against my own fucking day rate when I do that. And I am going to actually, if I succeed, push down my earning potential from my literal job. I'm also one of the people that doesn't lose money, unsurprisingly. I only make money from esports. So the point is, some things are bigger than money. Like, I've always thought money's the most... It's funny, I didn't really understand this till I had some. It's the most overrated shit in the world. Like, you just spend it and it's gone. You're still the same cunt afterwards. And even worse, if you've done something unethical to get it or to spend it, it's even worse. Yeah, exactly. So
you're just renting it.
It's so overrated. It's so mad, especially when you compare it to things like the health of the scene, having an awesome game to be like. I'd literally take half what I make now. It can't at the moment, but to live in a scene like we have now, than get 10 times more and be in Overwatch League CS:GO.
Yeah, of course.
With a heartbeat.
But this is what I mean. So guys, right? Like, I'm tempering expectations here. A bubble pops. A bubble is .com stock. A bubble is a stock market crash where everything's worthless. We're not in any danger of that at all. There's going to be a market correction. There has to be. Because right now, Everything's overvalued and revenue streams don't match up to that. And you guys can help with that by spending a bit more, being a bit more proactive in supporting with your disposable income, managing your expectations. You're not going to get everything for free. Pay-per-view's going to come. You're going to have to occasionally buy a jersey for your favorite team or sub to somebody, or, you know, you're going to have to just spend a little bit more money. That's how you help. But also, we got to stop listening to these fucking absolute charlatans who have been in here 5 minutes telling us, "Yep, this is a $20 billion industry." Nah, it ain't. I've been here 15 years. Duncan's been here almost 20 years. And let me tell you, for an industry that is as old as the technology on which it is predicated, we're unprecedented. We're so far ahead of the game, even with that market correction. It's just these cunts want to make the money today. They want to make the money now. They want to force it to be something it ain't. And they'll fuck off. We'll still be here. You'll still be here watching the show now.
One of the reasons
it'll be fine.
why people like me and Richard have endured, and you notice a lot of the bigger figures are the people who've been around 10 years or more. They're not people who came in the last 2 years. One of the reasons why is because the thing that makes esports the golden goose is just at the moment it has to lay 500 fucking eggs a day or it can't survive.
Exactly. We've got the golden goose.
Yeah. The reason it is the golden goose is, you know, when Richard's saying like the NFL's failing, like these sports are going downhill. That's the crazy thing. In the world of media, this is not a joke. I am literally 10 times more valuable than your favorite fucking New York Times columnist. He can only get the viewership that the New York Times already gets. My work can be promoted, and for the money I'm paid, get ridiculous views. Now, at the moment, again, people have accelerated the market. It can't actually make that money back. But in terms of like the power and the influence you can have, our industry is amazing. Like, we are the future in that sense. It's just at the moment they want the future to be now instead of in 10 years. The future's not supposed to be now. That's why it's called the fucking present.
Right. So anyway, with all of that wrapped up, because we've done over an hour, nearly 90 minutes just on that alone.
All right.
I want to talk about something that you said when you were talking about, you know, being a creative director in this B-Site league. Because I'll just be straight with you. So far, the names that have been leaked, they're not setting the world on fire just in terms of player skill, brand names. Now, all of this could change, by the way, because we've got that meeting between the 22nd and the 24th with the big teams talking to ESL. Some people might be like, listen, we're going to go over to B-Site. And if B-Site nail one or two of those big names, I think ESL got a real fucking problem on their hands. A topic for another time. But one of the things that you rightly identified, I thought, was this need to be an entertainment product. And that was kind of what I, you know, because I was in a similar position to what it sounds like you're going to be doing, kind of at E-League, where I had a lot of influence over the show and what we did. But I think there was a lot of areas where I failed to really have as strong an influence as I wanted.
And you were also more limited because it was the TV world, it was their world, you know.
Yeah, totally. You know, but there was some like content that I didn't like, you know, and there was some ideas that I'm like, you know, what is the real value of taking a team go-karting? Honestly, it's not really it's not really evergreen content. I get it's a little fun thing to put up there, but you're wasting an entire day's shoot. And actually, the best content I thought
that could have been a documentary. That
exactly
money that they spent on that could have, should have been the 30 for 30, shouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, you wouldn't get a 30 for 30 for that, but you know, you would get something that would look like a 30 for 30 by esports standards. So, you know, and the best content we did at E-League, I thought we never even saw the light of day. We never even released it. You know, I talked about having Virtus Pro, you know, watch when they won the major, watching it. Sorry, when it was the first season, wasn't it, of E-League? My bad. But anyway, when they won a tournament, and we had them watch the match back with Neo and Taz commenting over it with me there.
Sounds straight fire.
That's straight fire. And we did it with Optic as well, with Naf and Stanislaw. We did two of them. And that's insane. We did it in a little fake cinema, watching it on the big screen.
So if Martin Shkreli could please just release the videos, and we could actually, and can we have the Wu-Tang album as well? I'd give you.
No, but I felt like doing a Shkreli.
That's not in a vault.
I've reached out to them and said, please, can we just have that released to the public? And they're like, well, you know, we pitched it as a pilot for like, you know, ancillary content. It was going to be its own thing, you know, legendary games and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but like the community would fucking kill for that. So,
Someone out there at
but no,
Ely,
the suit,
listen,
the suits and TV didn't want
you
that.
can be a low-level person. Just be someone where they can't trace it to you. Just do like whoever did this to all of that Kanye's like unfinished projects. Like just leak them all. Just leak all the fucking tracks. Like put them all on.
Yeah.
Like, put it somewhere and just send a Dropbox link to Richard. Just do
Yeah,
it.
just and listen, I still hope one day it will see the light of day. I
And
think,
that sounds like evergreen content, even.
yeah, but no, that's the beauty. You can watch that anytime. If anything, the older it is, the better it is. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, there was lots of stuff that didn't get through, but I understand it as well as you do. There is this requirement for esports to be an entertainment product. It can't just be about what happens on the server. And all too often it is. It's like if the game sucks, your broadcast kind of sucks. Everything gets accelerated. It's a 16-2 blowout followed by a 16-1 blowout, completely one-sided. All of that analysis and hype is now meaningless. You've got 30 minutes to fill. People are sat there, everyone's deflated, the crowd's bored, one team doesn't want to do an interview, so they wander off. When you make a broadcast about everything that happens on the server, you live and die by the game, and you can't enable yourself to do that. It was like one of the reasons why I had an issue with, like I say, the DreamHack stuff, where it's like, or the Face It one, Face It Major. Here's Parler drinking a bottle of wine in the park with shocks. Like, there's even a world where you can make that straight fire, but it just wasn't that world. It's like, we need to be making good content. We need to be having interviews. We need to be... They're almost onto something with this sideline reporting from down in the dugout style stuff that they've been doing with Frankie and Stunner. They're almost there. We're almost starting to get it. But unfortunately, getting the buy-in from the teams has been so difficult.
Yes.
And finding TOs that'll take risks and throw budget at ancillary and shoulder content, also a problem. So this is where I wanted to talk to you about, what's going to be different with the B-side project.
Well, I can pick up what you've just said there. That's the whole angle that I'm selling them on and why they're on board. Because first of all, as I mentioned in that video I made, the B-side project, that these people who own these teams, who are also like Cloud9, losing millions, getting hundreds of thousands in money back and seeing their fucking margins be ridiculously off, they understand that it's not about even having, like, you can have Nico, Coldzera, everyone in the server, and they can play Astralis and it can be the closest game ever. It will never make back the money you even paid the cunt to join the server. So that business model does not work right now. But I tell you what, if you can make some money off them and then have an entertainment product that can be sponsored and you can make rev share through the link, now we can start to get somewhere close to a fucking business that makes a profit one day. So as a result, like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. There's one of the problems, right? I get why teams don't want to go out of their way to help ESL. Because until recently, until the ESL Pro League a couple of years ago, they were just helping ESL make more money. Wait a minute, I'm already giving you my player. You're compensating me by paying his costs to go to the event, and then I get a little bit of prize money. Why would I just give you more of him for free? But if I am the people who own the league and have done the buy-in, well, now it's just me talking to me, isn't it? So Dan from Cloud9 goes, excuse me, Dan, can I have the Cloud9 players for this feature? Dan, the fucking Cloud9, like, yes, you can, Dan, have the players from Cloud9 for the feature. Problem solved. So we can have access, like you're saying, that you could never have had at an ESL event. Like what you're saying, you have nailed it there, by the way. I think that the problem they had with the sideline access was they just did it like fucking sports again. And so it's that shit interview that every manager gives in the Premier League after the game. Well, the lads played well. And it's no one wants to see that. What people want to see is inside the fucking locker room. Or they want to hear a player really give his thoughts on what just happened and know that he has to participate in the entertainment product. That an idiot like Config, and I'll say this because we're talking about Config from 2 years ago, an idiot that thinks, well, my aim's so sick. Listen, Zonic, whoever you are, I just want to play, bruh. Let me bang, bruh. I don't want to have to do none of that media. And then wonders why they go, well, you know what? Don't call us. We'll call you. Get the fuck out of Denmark. Like the people like that didn't get it. They literally were living in an old world from 10 years ago. In the current world, I can't control whether CS in the server makes loads of money. but I can have a lot of say over whether we can build shoulder content like you're talking about and build an entertainment product, which, by the way, I even personally think that is the real secret to getting these broadcast right deals. Is I don't know whether it's worth paying to watch people play a CS match. But if you can put content, if you notice, right, the first content to go to television from the UFC wasn't the UFC fights because the deal wasn't good enough. It was shit like The Ultimate Fighter, which is loosely connected to the UFC, but is also a fucking reality TV show / drama. Like, it connected to things people like. Everyone knows the concept of a reality TV show. I like this guy. Fuck that guy. He's arrogant. I hope he loses. Like, everyone gets that. In the server, you don't get that, unfortunately. You have to be a fan of the game. You have to be pretty hardcore. So to me, this whole aspect, again, it's going to depend on resources in the end and execution. So I won't blow smoke up everyone's ass to say it'll all be amazing. But some of the things I've already been able to have some say in, like how the rundown of the show goes. One of the things I'll take great pride in if it's executed well is how I'm going to unlock the game for the analysis, the analysts in a way that I don't even blame ESL for. They literally had no time for, and the logistics were impossible. But we, in theory, will be able to do that. We'll be able to give these people the time to explain the game and the tools to explain the game. And then hopefully people like me sprinkle the entertainment on top, and we have elements of access that have never existed in any esport as far as I know, crucially because it's the teams that are the TO. That is the key secret, in my opinion. That's the mechanism that will make it work. Is, of course, Cloud9 is the example I'm going to go to again. Will let us have access because they are the ones who themselves are the people buying into the league. And the players, by the way, again, this will have to be someone else who explains this, but the players will actually make even more money than they would off any other deal, as far as I know.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Although, we have, it's got to be said as well. I believe the CSPPA, that's the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association. There was a statement released by ESL, kind of saying, hey, the CSPPA kind of give us the stamp of approval and we're going to have a partnership for the tour and I guess by extension, the league. So that suggests that there must be some financial clout there for the players that are going to be involved in that league as well. But yeah, back to the entertainment product discussion. I kind of do feel that we do continually miss a trick, and certainly one area we do that is in analysis. It sounds like some of the tools we're going to get in 2020. I think about Anders and the Skybox stuff, and
yes, that's the kind of ballpark to be thinking of here.
Yeah, exactly. And put it this way. Again, I'm not going to oversell it, but then again, if I do oversell it, I can't really oversell it because I've got nothing to sell because I'm not in any of these leagues. So I'm just going to tell you, based on what I've seen kind of with some early models, from the Skybox stuff and other tools that are going to be out there, you're going to be able to stick somebody actually in a map and talk about it, give you complete overhead rundowns, show people's tendencies, like what positions they played on each round. So you kind of get a map of how many times they were on this corner as a CT, behind this box, behind this banner. These it's incredible it's taken till 2020 to get those kind of tools in the games.
Mate, the craziest thing when I've seen some of this tech and I've looked at what we can just do as entertainers is you wouldn't believe how many stupid fucking teams are losing millions not using this tech themselves. And they could literally license it for tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And some of this data, if you know anything about how one little thing people might not know is one of the reasons I understand why sports leagues keep over-tuning the offense by nerfing defensive rules is because defensive schemes are too fucking next level in those sports. If anyone knows this big debate that was going on Twitter recently between fucking Richard Sherman of the 49ers and Darrell Revis, this legendary cover cornerback, right? The real debate there is like a boomer debate. What he doesn't understand is he was a god tier, proper cover you cornerback. But that's not how you play in the NFL now. What you do is you use zone defense. And if you know those schemes they have, it means you don't need someone as good as Revis. You shut people down with other players. You can take out, it's the same thing happened in football. They stopped man marking people fucking years ago, unless you're the god tier defender. So the point is, it's the same thing in Counter-Strike, except no one's using that tech because at the moment, none of them believe in it. And so as a result, what they would need is an Astralis to use it, beat them, know that that's what they used, and then they'd all fucking use it. So in the same sense as they're missing out there, we're going to try and pick up the slack ourselves. So we're going to be doing the fucking scouting of these teams and figuring out, we're going to be able to show you some of that data. Now, listen, Obviously, a lot of it as well hasn't been connected because it was some math nerd that doesn't really understand CS and tries to tell you something stupid like, Shocks for the last 4 years stands in this spot on B. It's like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. He was in different teams. So there's definitely some like fine tuning to be done. But in terms of the story we can tell, I can tell you that's going to be amazing. Again, how much the teams apply it, that's their own folly if they don't. But I'm amazed that people are so behind on that.
And this links into it because I think this is absolutely key as well. One of the things you'll know if you've ever followed a broadcast, and this is, I'm not even just talking like working in the industry, I'm talking again if you're a fan just watching one, you'll see the dip in the Twitch numbers, you see the dip in the viewer numbers when we're between maps, when it goes to the analysis desk, whenever there's a tech problem and people have to fill. People literally, even in a tech issue, start going away from the game because they don't want to listen to cunts talk about the game. Now, that's kind of a little bit, I want to say like the same as what happens in sports, but it does feel a greater percentage of people will happily walk away from a match rather than listen to analysts talk about the match. And I think a big part of that is, for years, what we've had to do is rely on our own personalities to kind of fill that gap and be like, hey, Duncan's going to say something. He's going to make a joke. Here's Yanko. Here's, I'm setting stuff up. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create like just a little spark entertainment to keep you there. So by the time we get back to the game, it's gone seamlessly, that 15 minutes or whatever it is. So what I thought was intriguing was, first of all, I think with better tools, I think more and more people stick around, right? Because all of a sudden you're learning about the game. I think
if you give like, I'll just pick
Sean
the best
Gares,
analyst in the
classic
game.
Example.
Sean Gares, Chad, any of them. If you give those guys the 10 minutes to fill, but to give you some stuff about what's going on in the game now, mate, I always say this to people. Because there's only so many hours in the day, I'm not trying to be like Sean Gares. What would the point be? Sean Gares is already Sean Gares. I'm doing my shit. But as a result, I'm not joking. I love to learn about the game by listening to Sean Gares telling me the shit while he stood next to me. I'm not pretending I know what he's saying. I'm sat there like the rest of you going, how the fucking hell does he know all this? And why wasn't nothing better in his team? Like I'm like everyone else, when he listens, like obviously, you get what I'm saying.
No. But listen, this is the thing. It's like with those tools, it brings the game alive. I want to draw everyone's attention to, I think it was with DreamHack, but it might have been the Summit actually, where Chad had like literally cardboard pieces on the Dust 2 map and was doing it and was putting them down with a top view camera looking at it. Like, I think it was the Summit maybe. But anyway, think about that. And people remember that segment. People remember that segment as being fucking great, like really funny and informative and insightful. And it's like, mate, what is this? What year is this? Like, they had better tech in the 50s.
There's another thing to point out. That's also why I don't blame people like ESL for not initially putting more budget into these sorts of things, is they're not wrong. If you just show dry analysis, everyone will tune out of that. Like I would tune out of that. And totally. Like I've tried watching this in the past. Like I remember when Yanko used to make those videos that were like 1 hour long where he took a whole Mirage demo and did every round. And I said, Yanko, I actually love this game. I'm basically obsessed with it and have ruined my life with it. I can't watch the whole video. It's an hour long. Like I tried watching 3 rounds. I said, pick the best fucking round. Like the problem those people have is they themselves forget it's an entertainment product. So they do a brilliant job on the analysis, but it's when you pair the two, when you pair entertainment. I mean, now they have that fucking sinister term for news, don't like infotainment or whatever. So I won't use that, but you have to basically make it entertainment and then slip the analysis in there. And if you can do the both, forget just CSGO, esports, that is how it will take over the world. That is the product that will sell everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, adding in stuff there where I think we ride a line where we go a little bit too close to wrestling sometimes, with the show matches and, jokingly like, Henry throwing a cup of cold tea in Chad's face and things like this.
And us all pretending James Barlow's a real caster. Oh, sorry, was this thing on still?
Why are you a cunt?
That's how you know I'm not being controlled. Cunt, you think I'd be allowed to say that shit? Of course
why
not.
are you a cunt?
I know. It's all right, though. It's all right. All mates. All mates.
You're just so unreasonable. And throwing custard pies at each other, and then you're on the broadcast going, "Hey, I'm just giving that."
When they did that twice as well, I was like, again. Wasn't that like, did we not do enough with the pies again?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, like, no, but I
Carmack's like, I've got a cake.
I got
Like, give me a break.
Carmack went in on me because I tweeted out going, really, motherfuckers, like custard pies in my Counter-Strike, like, you know, what vaudevillian 1920s bullshit is this? You know, what next? The banana skin slip, like, you know, that happened to fucking Shara, didn't it? But anyway.
That's true. Unintentional comedy, that was.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. He put Buster Keaton to shame, that cunt. And that's just how he played Counter-Strike. But anyway, the reality is, you know, I think that's a bit too much. I think it's a bit too silly for me personally, but people seem to like it, right? But the bottom line is, I think, like, I like a bit of that. I like a bit of aggro. I like people taking opposite sides of a fence and really arguing it. You know, you think of like your Stephen A. Smiths and your Skip Bayless, where they're obviously not like that in real life.
Oh, of course. They're actually mates. That's the stupidest thing.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like, you know, you don't talk to each other like that in the fucking green room, you morons, you know? But so I like that with analysts, but I also I would like to see just a little bit more with players. I think we were in a fucking sweet spot coming out of 2015, 2016, you know, where people were doing interviews, and maybe don't do this one, but, you know, Dupree holding up some Vaseline saying this is for fucking Virtus Pro.
That's a little bit.
Yeah,
over the line, yeah.
Terrible example.
No, just get someone like, I agree though, get someone like Taz.
Just get to that line.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just get to the line and stay and make sure you ride it, and don't worry about it. You got production, you got, you know, even script writers and people helping craft the necessary narrative around the game, and people just bring their natural personalities to the fore. And I think if you do that, you know, I'd watch, like, okay, again, some of the teams I probably wouldn't necessarily want to tune in and watch, the ones that are assigned to B-side. But I'll tell you what, if you fucking wrap it all up and put that bow in it, and you have top tier talent commentating on it, and you have a top tier analyst break it down, and new tech that's never been seen before, showing me shit I've never seen before, and on top of that, you're creating good shoulder content. Well, I'm sold. I'm there. I'll pay to watch that. It doesn't matter who the teams are at that point. You know, it's kind of like, you know, XFL's coming back. You know, obviously I'm a big football guy. I remember XFL the first time around, and what an embarrassment it was. But imagine if, you know, if XFL gets all of the good content and gets a couple of good names attached to it, and, you know, I'll tune in and watch that and give it a go. And if I enjoy what I see and I like what I see, I'll start tuning in regularly.
If people don't know, that's a great analogy I hadn't even thought of. The reason why it's so key that the XFL is coming back now, why would anyone do a failed product? Like, it would be like Virgin launching some of their company. Right. They're doing it because of the same reason we just explained. The NFL is the best the NFL can be in its lane, and it can't get any bigger, and it can't basically succeed much more. It's going to gradually die. So what they've figured out is the same. Well, they haven't figured out yet because they haven't executed correctly. But the premise of the XFL, which is why, it was ahead of its time, was they were going to give you all this unprecedented access. They would take the things they'd learned in wrestling, because it was Vince McMahon, and he would apply it to the NFL, a product he knows you like already, and make you like it even more. The problem is he didn't have the players, he didn't have the, you know, there's a bunch of reasons he couldn't make it work. So it's even a good analogy, I think.
Yeah, no, but I mean, so again, just think about it this way as well. The XFL, sure, it was a failure. It was a spectacular failure. It's derided and laughed about, and with good reason. But the only reason the NFL looks as fucking sick now to watch,
they stole a lot of the shit,
is because they stole all the fucking broadcast tech, and so this is potentially a win-win. Let's say B-Site does crash and burn, but does all this sick stuff, but he just didn't have the teams, it didn't get the games, it didn't get the moments, it didn't capture the imagination. But all of that tech then gets brought over to the winner of the battle, which could be ESL or the Blast or whoever the fuck it is. Sure. Brilliant. Win-win, right?
Yeah,
everybody wins.
Guys, I get paid, and I'll probably be hired by that company. So problem solved.
Yeah, exactly.
So listen, I haven't said that to the people inside my company, but you know what? It's not my company, so still a cunt.
Still a cunt, deep down.
I'm the cunt you hired. Listen, you got to know you got to go with the cunt that you brought to the dance, whatever it is.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I know, man. They know, they do know. Anyway, so we've obviously got some patron questions to go through. We haven't done any of the big news stories. Like I say, we should be doing another show on Friday, schedules permitting. So I'll just do one news story, which I'm gonna pick at random, just so we did some news. So when I do my SEO optimization and tweet it out, I can say, look, there was some news in this. What should it be? Do you want to just talk briefly about, because we already talked about it in the previous episode, do you want to just talk about the how NIP have just all resurfaced at Dignitas,
Yeah,
and
sure.
Fifth Lauren is the coach, which was the one question mark. So literally,
I don't
sort
know if
of
you
the
saw this as well, because I even myself thought, is there a twist in this that I didn't know? But you know, on Reddit, they all saw, right, first of all, y'all are so dumb that if pro players ever actually had two brain cells to pull together, they'd just be toying with you motherfuckers all day. So Fifth Lauren did it. That's what a G this guy is. He basically just tagged himself as Peter when he was in the server coaching them. And as a result, everyone on Twitter, on Reddit was like, "Oh my god, Peter's in there!" And basically, someone, I think it was Sapphire, said, "No, that was actually just Fifth Lauren, like tagged up as Peter. Like he played you, motherfuckers. Congratulations, you played yourself. Like because you little rats out there, like certain cunts with Twitter accounts, think refreshing a server that you know the IP of is the same as journalism. Y'all idiots were. This is the problem you have. Is if I did that, I would reveal it, but I would say I just refreshed the server and saw a name in there. No, because you have to pretend you're in the know. You pretend you know that Peter's the coach and that you have the inside info. So now when it comes out, you look like a cunt and chips, which is all you are, minus the chips. I've got a lot of catchphrases I'm working on it, you know.
No, I can see.
To be fair, I'll probably be doing that E-League meeting soon. Like, could you please stop saying cunt so much? Like, oh,
no, this is what you'll be like, though, man. This is what you'll be like. You won't be on the desk and you'll just be going, Sean, can you just throw in the line about the cunt and chips? Yes. Yeah, just as a reminder, Sean. No. Yeah, you go. Yeah, he is a cunt with chips.
Please say cunt, Sean.
minus the chips, and he'll be going, Duncan, I know we're about to go live in 15, but I just don't feel comfortable saying cunt. You know, I'm a family man now. I've got a kid, and Sean, you will say cunt and chips. You will deliver the line, or you will be out, and I'll be bringing Pimp in. So say cunt, Sean Gares. Say it now. Can't wait for to see what you do to all of them. But anyway, so listen, my opinion is this. I think the Dig team, and again, strange kind of like they've rebranded with a new logo, but I don't know if they've done this thing where, because it used to be Dignitas, which by the way, that's a clinic people people with unbelievable tragic illnesses go to choose to die in so it's never been a great brand.
Also, why does that have to be the name for this particular project?
I know. No.
Make these associations, please, guys.
I know. It fucking, again, the jokes write themselves. Like, what's the difference between fucking, Dignitas and Dignitas? None. They're both where people go to die, essentially. Players go to die, But anyway, whatever. The reality is that I think, I don't know if they've created like another company or something.
Oh, shit. I've just realized something as well. This wouldn't totally relate. No one's ever put this together. This is mental. This is simulation level shit. What was the name of the person who founded Dignitas?
What, are we talking about Odie?
Yeah, his alias is OD, but say it slower. OD. Oh, overdosed, did you? Is that why you did, is it? That's outrageous. How has no one picked up on that before?
I know, it's bad.
It was there in plain sight the whole time.
So they're rebranding as Dig, I think now. That's what they keep calling themselves in all of the stuff they're putting out. It's Dig on their logo, DIG 2003. So I don't know if they are trying to move away from it, because obviously having the same name as a suicide clinic
used to say it's Team Dignitas. It's Team Dignitas is the
brand. No, I remember. Mate, you don't. I've known OD many years, and I used to be a journalist.
It's a team.
Yeah, I used to have him. Literally though, we would because me and Michael didn't always know each other. In fact, I think when he first met me, he probably thought I was a bit of a cunt, like almost every esports person. And every story of every friend in esports all starts that way. Well, when he first met me, he thought I was a cunt. I fucking hated him. And so it eventually, that if anything, that speaks to my winning personality, I think. But anyway, he always used to hit me up, like on IRC or Skype eventually, or Twitter eventually, whatever it was down the years. Team Dignitas, Richard. Team Dignitas. Whenever a news writer on Cadred just said Dignitas, it's Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas. And all of this was contingent on getting interviews and stuff in the future, so you'd have to fire up the editor, go through Control F Dignitas every time it was there without the word team in front of it, change it. So now they're rebranding it to Dig. I mean, you can tell Odie, sort of isn't involved anymore with that, because if he was, he'd be fucking devastated, I think. But I wonder if it's because they've almost created another company, or something. It just seems such a strange rebrand. So I'm just putting that on the surface of it. Also, is it a fucking owl?
It looks to be.
Is it an owl? Their logo, is it a fucking owl?
I think so.
It looks like a fucking owl.
Yeah, it does look a bit like that, doesn't it?
So it's like, what's that got to do with dignity? Because owls are just intelligent. They're not fucking dignified, mate. They spin their head fucking 360 and eat rats at night. You know, it's like fucking kind of like Smooya. Wait, no, rats don't eat rats. They do, actually. It's all okay. It's
Also,
all good.
wise.
It's all right. We'll work on that one.
He's not associated with wisdom either. So.
Yeah, he's definitely not associated with wisdom, no. But anyway, like, so I don't even understand. I don't even understand with the owl. Like, I don't understand what owl's got to do with unless I missed something. So it's just a strange one. But anyway, fuck all that noise. Talking about the team, as I said, I don't think the team's going to do everything. But here's what's absolutely sick: this team is going to be in one of these leagues. So let's say it's B-Site. What a team to do content about. You know, essentially the legendary five are back together again. You know, with Hellzark, whatever his name is, the fucking Holzerk. Sorry, I did a spoonerism. The Norwegian player who apparently, according to my Discord, was in a Norwegian newspaper or something, saying finally a Norwegian player playing top level Counter-Strike. It's like, if I had Fifth stood over my shoulder watching everything I was doing with his 4 homeboys playing on the fucking server, I'd be shitting my pants, mate, because he's just surplus to requirements any fucking time of the fucking day. Fifth is just going to go, look,
standing behind him holding a mic.
And so imagine that moment. I almost hope it happens. It's so unreasonable to wish for somebody else's fucking failure just to see somebody who's already had that chance and sort of kind of failed a little bit, kind of come back from the den and just get out that fucking chair. And
in the movie, that would obviously happen.
Oh,
would be
yeah,
like
it'd
the
be
third
fucking
act,
sick,
it?
like,
Of course.
Like, Fifth Lauren's been wearing, like, his old 2012 Nip jersey under his fucking
I've got the
suit
analogy
the whole
for you.
time. Like,
It's basically like the colour of money. There you go. There's a straight fire analogy where he just comes back and plays him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Fast Eddie or whatever the fuck his name was.
So anyway, I think I'm excited I'm just excited to see these guys together again and in an environment they clearly want to be in. You know, from what I've heard on the street, they got great deals to go to Dignitas. You know, it was a stipulation that Fifth Lauren was going to be involved. They are still friends after all these years, almost like a family in their way. They've been through ups, downs. It's a great story. I don't think they're going to win many games. I think they're going to struggle in the current competitive environment. Does anyone give a fuck? Does anyone give a fuck? And the funny part about all of this is, what is NIP now? NIP must be calling everyone, hey, we got this legendary Swedish organization. Do you want to buy it? It's esports. It's really big. It's really big. You'll make a return on it. Don't look at the MTG stock price just at the moment, though. But definitely buy Digits. You must have heard of us. Yeah, 2012, 2013. After that, well, yeah, whatever. You know, like, it's worthless now. They never expanded in such a way that the brand became worthwhile outside of those players.
That was always the mistake they made, is that they themselves tied themselves to those players. And to use my own fucking narrative I made up, the magic has left the building because all you had was the original players. Like, even at the end, this just shows you how amazing superstar names are. Even at the end, when Forrest is, like, objectively, statistically, like an average fucking pro player by all metrics that are humanly recorded, you still felt in some way that just him being in the server meant it was still Nip. One player remaining. They didn't even have to be good. Just him remaining still felt like, wait, still Nip, isn't it? You know, still Forrest and that, you know. And it used to be Get Right, and then it used to be, you know, Exist. And then before that, Friday, you know, it's like somehow that kept it going. But like you're saying, now that they've gone, what the fuck are they except players who can't get into Fnatic and still want to play as a pro? That's it. That's about all you are, right?
It's a rough one. And, like, you know, if they had other games, right? But, like, they fucked up in Dota spectacularly, in my opinion, by not, you know, sticking with PPD and whatnot. They've had legendary, you know, League of Legends players come through the ranks. They
fucked up League of Legends every time they tried. Yeah, every time.
Yeah. It's like, I don't really know what's going on over there. And right now, you know, CS was always the jewel in the crown, and retaining those players was always the jewel in the crown. They even bungled, let's be real, Get Right going out the team.
course.
By Peter's own admission as well.
They managed to make bad PR out of what should have been the most slam dunk good PR possible, which is that you send him off in a cool way that's very respectful and appropriate. People would love your that. Actually, what's dumb is the timing of that with all the bad shit that went down could actually have brought some positive sentiment back to Nip, but they fucked it up completely.
Hang on, sorry. Did I didn't say they didn't have PPD. I said they fucked up by not backing PPD, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's what I said, right?
I can't remember what you said. Let me think. I think you just said backing him.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought they meant he'd kicked him or something. No, they just got PPD.
I never said he wasn't in the
give
team.
him the team to make it.
I never said that. Why are there three fucking more? Get the fuck out of my chat. Like what the fuck is this?
By the way, I agree with that sentiment. I'm only a layman in Dota, but PPD was the person you should have properly built around. You would have had like a TI winning team, whereas instead they just got like budget players around him. I agree with the sentiment on that one.
Yeah, like I know what people. I've interviewed him. I know what PPD wanted to build over there.
He's unreal.
Yeah. It's just I don't know, like guys, like if you're gonna imagine what, like if you're gonna imagine that I'm making things up, live a little, guys, live a little. Just fucking imagine really interesting and cool shit, not slight alterations of sentences that you want to get outraged about, so you can type about it on Twitch. It's just so fucking dumb. Like, go crazy. Go fucking nuts. Make something worthwhile up with your shit fictitious lives. Do that. Don't fucking make up slight moderations to things I actually said. That's just fucking so annoying.
On the topic of this Nip thing, though,
yes,
what I'll say is like, first of all, obviously, like, I don't think that they were one of the teams that was listed in DK's report, as far as I remember. Obviously, I don't memorize all that shit, so I can't say whether or not they're in the B-side league. And in fact, as you know, some teams aren't signed to either yet, and they're still still yet to be determined who is in what league. I agree. If it was in the B-side league, there's an example of a team where who cares how they perform. I could make some stuff out of that. In fact, that's one of the other elements that I can bring to this project that no one else can. So I'll give you a great example. Cynical people, because they never understand what creativity actually is, always think you can boil creativity down to a formula and replicate it. So what everyone told me was, when you do anything in esports, someone else will just come along after you, take your idea, and then TSM will do interviews with their own players, and ESL will just write their own fucking preview. Yeah, they will, and they'll be shit. And when everyone sees their shit, they'll come back to me, which is why both of those people did. TSM literally crawled over broken fucking glass to beg me to do interviews and content with. Beg me, literally. Call me on holiday when I was off the internet. Beg me to come back. And by the way, happily did so. I always accept surrender on my own terms. So same with ESL. There's a reason why they pay me to do those videos. Because have you seen DreamHack's videos for the last few years where they tried writing the scripts? It's generic garbage. They don't know the history of the game. They don't know what's cool. They're just going with some stupid shit like saying, pop your cappers in the air. Like, they're just making shit up. It's like when Dust tried to get edgy that one time. Like, they're just using Twitch emotes in the place of a personality. It doesn't work. I had to get a shot in on Dust.
Yeah, no, Dust has just been there the whole time.
Watching it,
I know.
Yeah,
so anyway, I forgot you might be in the chat.
I don't know why that's becoming a regular segment now. Like,
going
on Dust.
As far as Nip goes, yeah, I agree. That's another thing I want to do with this league is I don't just want to tell. Like, here's the other thing. I won't say which leagues, but I've also worked with leagues who told me I could write historical stuff. Just please don't mention them winning any tournaments that aren't ours. And I was like, you're an idiot. You've just bottlenecked the whole project there. What I can do with this is I can talk about stuff from before B-Site. So any legendary player who signs up with, I can make the content I dreamed to make. I can make the equivalent of the 30 for 30, maybe not right now, but one day down the line, I could make the fucking Nip versus someone else story and gather them all there with the talking heads and then the fucking family. Yeah, we used to get on it as well and think, well, yeah, could do all that shit. So that's one cool angle I will say. The problem I have is this, right? The new people who own Dig, as far as I know, I've never fucking heard of them in esports, and I've been around a long time. They are Johnny-come-latelys, as far as I can tell. And I actually think they don't get it. I think they also think that, like, the marketing angle is the reason they get it. They probably also secretly mind-fuck themselves into believing the team's going to do something in the server, but they're not, by the way. Like, just don't be an idiot. They're obviously not. So, but in terms of the marketing angle, that actually only works if people like me succeed and they are in our league. Like, I actually personally think that doesn't even make as much sense because, as you said, this is the killer for me. They almost bid against themselves. Like, you know what? I would have got this team. Yeah, they got them for a very fucking reasonable price as well. I'd have got them for like just below average for a pro player. But I'd said, you know what, guys, you love each other. There's a chance to play together again. And you know what? I tell you what, every big endorsement deal we bring in, I'll give you a little cut off. You do some of that side for me. You know, I'd go with that angle. The problem I have is this: if you know how much they're getting paid, they've massively overpaid for these players, and they're going to look stupid if these players don't do anything in the game. Like, you can only take the marketing angle so far when you're actually a team that plays in the game. Remember, like, it's not like the meme of the Cleveland Browns being bad helps the Cleveland Browns. That's just fun shit for people on a broadcast to talk about. So my problem is, I get if you take business out of it, why it's cool, why it's fun. And even I'm interested to see what will happen when they start playing again. And even the angle you said, maybe if Flaren comes back of it, that'd be fucking insane, right? The problem I have is everything I know about CS as a game tells me it won't work. It's like when MTW tried to come to CSGO. It was only fun in the sense like, wow, it'd be cool if they came back. I never thought it was a good idea. Obviously, they wouldn't have fucking made it. Half of them retired for a good reason. And it was 10 years ago, like, you know.
So, yeah, like I said, I'm happy to see them remain in the scene. Happy to see them playing together. Happy to see them have a home. I hope they go to a league where we get some content around this team. You know, if they're got a good content team over at Dig, I mean, this is a potential gold mine.
They could do a lot themselves, yeah.
Exactly. So, you know, and like I say, no expectations, but pleasantly, I find myself pleasantly surprised that I'm happy they're still going, you know. So
I'll give you a quick idea. I'll throw it at the end.
Yeah. Go on.
Listen, Dignitas, when you figure out that this team isn't going to win in the game, I need you to understand that your only way to make money back off them is entertainment. So here's what you do. You make it a reality show in which after every 6 months in which they don't place top 4 in a tournament, one of the original members gets cut. But the way he gets cut is based on fighting and partisan tribes elements coming on within. So you make it like a reality show where they vote each other off. And I want literally filming their faces as they're crying. I'm sorry, Adam. It just has to be you because I have to keep Forrest. Like, you know, like I want to see that angle. That's what you do. It's cynical, but guess what? You've just spent millions for a fucking team, you idiot. You're gonna have to do something to get the money back, aren't you? Give me a break. Or just go bankrupt, either way.
Right. So let's do the patron questions, just in case you don't know, guys. If you pay $50 or more, is currently where we've got it set as a price point, since we've been talking about business all day, so we might as well continue using cunt jargon. You do get to ask a question at the end of each episode and shape the show, and it's immortalized in the VOD forever. So we have Mike Feed Me. Zeus just tweeted, "Hello guys, did you miss me?"
Why is this guy back as well?
Oh no, get me out. Hello guys, did you miss me? Something really cool is coming. Stay tuned.
He's probably just putting back the original Na'Vi from CS 1.6 for $7 million.
Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me. Listen, any thoughts? I've said it multiple times. Like the story about Zeus is probably one of the most oversold mythologies of all time, and in any esport, and incredibly. It even sucked me in for a time when he won that major with Gambit. But, you know, he's somebody I respect from 1.6, but my respect diminished each year sequentially based on how he was playing, the way his teams were set up tactically, the way he always seemed to need a sycophant in the ranks, both on and off the server, if you include Kane. And then whenever there was a fucking ropey financial prospect where you could basically milk having a following in Counter-Strike to turn it into cold hard cash at the expense of your fan base, essentially, he was on board every time, never lost a day's sleep, had a book ghostwritten about him, which is unbelievably grandiose. I've been trying to get an English translated copy of it because I want to read it on stream. I bet it's straight fire, like story time with Richard, you know, and fucking read this book. But anyway, he will be back. He will be back. He'll put together some ragtag bunch of.
Let's be real.
Yeah, he'll put together, and it's because all of these leagues need. Remember, even the leagues that are saying they've got all their teams are saying, but when we go to local regions, We want local teams to bring in so we get turnout at the
He's the
stadiums.
godfather of CIS region, let's be real.
Yeah,
Yes,
and there's
I
no
think
getting
you're
away
right.
from that, and there's no getting away from the fact he'll always be beloved in the CIS region, and that's perfectly reasonable. I think he's a bell end. I thought he was a bell end the first time I fucking met him, when he was rude as fuck in an interview that his manager, I knew, Zero Gravity, was making him do, and he was one of the rudest cunts. In the end, we couldn't even use the interview because of how rude and aggressive and offensive the answers were. I saw his team do some of the most heinous cheating shit. You thought you didn't like Fnatic because you imagined they were fucking cheating. You should have seen Na'Vi back when they were ghosting, kicking PCs, fucking standing up and doing this to players in across tournaments, trying to put them off and stuff. They were cunts. They got too much money too quick in a region that had no money and thought they were literal gods. Turned out for 1 year they were. Once they made all that scratch, though, they cared less and less, and it started to show. And Zeus is sort of a bloated joke of himself, really. So those are my thoughts about him. I have no doubt he'll be back. I have no doubt he'll get a big pop in Moscow or whatever. But you only need to know about what he really gives a fuck about and what drives him. That when the Blast was out in Moscow and Na'Vi didn't win a single game, and he looked like he couldn't even be asked to be there. So
yeah, I will just say, to reiterate what I said earlier, he is also famously an attention whore. So, like, I don't know if you've followed Zeus's career, but he repeatedly does this, like, big announcement coming, and then it's like, I've made a team, Pro One. Shut the fuck up. That's not a big announcement. Is it still until this day? To this day, they've never been relevant. Like, it's not a big announcement. That's why I think that Fishiest dude almost like pulled the gun. Like, he jumped the gun because he learned from the fucking best. The difference is Zeus can fucking rizzle dizzle his way out. You can't. You're just some kind of mistranslating and writing your own shit in there, just going, I think it'd be cool if Zeus had said this. You're like some motherfucker just writing another book to the Bible or something like, did he really say that? Like, yeah, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think what Zeus meant to say was. So anyway, whatever. True evil never dies, I guess. It's just always there, cyclically. Alice the Alchemist asks, do you guys think the additional prize pool adjustment will elevate ESL Cologne and Katowice in terms of prestige and orgs looking for lineups, maybe even above a major, or is closeness to Valve the be-all and end-all for our tournament circuit? I'll let you go first on this one.
I'll just say on that one, like, listen, I've been pushing the angle myself that I want ESL Cologne to be a major, because in the current world that we live in, like, words are magic spells effectively. The way that they associate things in your brain just go beyond, like, reason, basically. So it doesn't matter that, I don't know if anyone else hasn't noticed this. ESL Cologne has been the best event in CS for like 5 years straight, but it hasn't been a major since 2016. Now, that doesn't change the fact that the second it stopped being a major, people cannot, in their brain, make it more important than the majors. Like, I did this stat on Twitter the other day. No Astralis member, past or present, has ever even been in an ESL One Cologne final. Doesn't stop them being the GOATs, but because it's not the major. 4 majors beats making an ESL Cologne final. That's just a fact. Sorry. So even though I personally already think it's a better event, until it has the major tag, it will never be the #1 event of the year as far as every like random person's concerned. The World Championship will always hold that special appeal. So if it can become a major, yes, it can do all that. Now, the other angle, as you've said, like, again, in terms of format, ESL One Cologne's better than the major. Like, the majors have a whack format at this point in time. They've just been so slow to evolve. Again, in terms of prize money, I've made this point before. ESL Tour events last year had less prize money than like Epicenter does for first place. Yep. Now, did you see everyone at Epicenter? No, there was like half the teams there and then half the teams weren't there. So the point is, raw money alone doesn't matter, and especially to the teams, it doesn't matter. It matters to players because players win the fucking prize money. If I get 10% of the prize money, what the fuck do I care if it's 25k or 10k? If I have to pay all this money, like at that point in time, I'll go with the person who's my business partner, gives me a rev share like ESL. So unfortunately, I just don't think any amount of money put in that sense will matter. And I'll even say as well, for anyone who missed this point when you referred to MTG and Dota earlier, in Dota, they even give you half of the prize money for those tournaments, and they're still losing money at these TOs. That's all you need to know, that even when they cover half the prize money, you lose money running the event. So, like, there's no world in which, unfortunately, I think you'd essentially have to make it like fucking 10 million for first place to really make it anywhere close to the kind of feeling that you want, I think. And I don't think that would work. For me, it has all the prestige already, just isn't a major.
I mean, this is the reality. Like, don't take it from us. Take it from players. You know, legendary players, what do they say? Like, majors mean less and less these days. This is a common refrain. It weren't just fallen that one time. You know, other players have said it. And the reason for this it's not about prize money. You know, what you have to realize is that's a part of it. But diminishing returns on stickers, hugely diminishing returns, by the way. I know organizations that they all say this. Well, practically every organization has told me the same thing. All the players told me the same thing. The first major you're in that you have a sticker is the one you make your money on. So you best be at max popularity then or whatever, because the second one, it's less. And the third one, it's less, and on and on. And this is happening because, first of all, stickers are too fucking similar to each other, event to event. You know, what else can we do beyond an autograph?
You have to change the logo pretty much nowadays to change the thing. And the problem is they don't. So it becomes like that shit where, like, we're not football where the Man United fan really will buy the Man United thing with a slight black line under this month for like a fucking 50 quid. Like, people won't do that in CS. They're like,
no, we're definitely nowhere near that yet. So it's like, you know, when if I was somebody and I wanted to really like a player and I was like, listen, I'm a legendary fucking player. I'm like a fucking device or a fucking symbol and all that. Like, I can make some scratch. Valve always profess that they love the players and that's why they put sticker autographs in. That was why, if you remember, when I dropped the fucking dime on NIP and all their bullshit and they withheld sticker money, Valve completely changed that fucking process and even got in touch with me to talk about that shit. And we're going, right, what is up with this? Because as far as we're concerned, the players should be getting the sticker money and that shouldn't, their autograph money shouldn't be leveraged. And this is how you get this divergent between logos and autographs. The autographs are for the players. Valve did that because they love the players. So the idea that then they will not do, okay, for this major, it's gloves. Limited edition, you know, $20 gloves, you know, per player, and we're only gonna, for, you know, 10,000 or whatever, you know, or whatever the fuck it is. They don't do in-game merchandising for these players, and it's weird because it's a model that everyone else is utilizing and failing at because they don't have the reach of CS:GO. Go look at the PUBG numbers. My boy Adam Fitch published the PUBG numbers. They're a joke for their esports. Teams were coming out with $300 after it was divided up for the... Wipe me ass on that. What the fuck was the point?
By the way, just because it was only like 2 years ago or something, remember before Fortnite when everyone told us PUBG was the future of esports? Fuck you. You don't know what the future is. You weren't even here for the past.
Exactly. So anyway, so there's that. But the bottom line is, you know, players also feel the prestige because what happens is it scales down. Valve say, here's what we're going to contribute to the major. And the average TO's going, fucking hell, right? That pays for the lights. That pays for the staff. We haven't even got to venue hire or anything yet. So
yeah, by the way,
TOs lose money on the major.
That's a detail I forgot to mention earlier, right? I think when they announced the CSL Pro Tour, they bragged even that they'd put the prize money up to something. I think it was like almost $5 million for the tour or something. Think it through, guys. If the prize money's $5 million and they're losing $40 million, now divide how many events they do over the year. They're losing millions doing these fucking stadium events. Like, it's really expensive to do these events. That's why we always make the point that the
trying to tell people.
I mean, the ridiculous thing about the fact Salah did a major is they pretty much accelerated their own death by doing that. Because it's like Valve are some sick loan shark who's like, I'll live you a little bit of opportunity now. That'll fuck you in the long term. Sorry, what did you say? I guess I'll give you the major, but you have to pay all the costs. Why do you keep trailing off like, no, don't you want to sign on the dotted line? You want the major, don't you? The biggest event. Like, it kills you to do those. That's one of the reasons I actually personally think, aside from like doing the odd one that they've done, you know, CSL didn't kick up much of a stink in the years they didn't do majors. They just kept doing their own shit, making their shit the best they could. And if they could get one, cool. But they were like, they could have done a lot of things in the scene to make like guilt trip people and like, why isn't ESL have the majors? Like, they didn't do it because they also knew it's to some degree a poison chalice at the moment.
Yeah, totally. And you know, so when it all scales down and you end up with an event that doesn't feel as good as some of the other events you go to on the circuit, plus you make more prize money and, you know, the stickers are inconsequential now anyway. It's like, listen, Valve, you got to reinvent your shit. Like, just try it. I've said it. It doesn't matter what you're doing for Dota. We all know you love it the best. It's fine. Everyone has favorites. Even your parents do. You might not be the favorite. That's just reality. They say they don't. They say they love you equally. Straight lie, of course. Favorites. We have favorites. And we all know Valve. Dota is their favorite. But People are walking away from the game in droves. Numbers are down. CS endures despite the lack of attention. Just for 1 year, just give us what you give Dota. Just give us regular content updates. Give us
We'll
a
kill
CS.
it if you give us that.
Oh, give us a CS Plus,
We'll blow
where we
Dota
pay for additional things, additional unlockable skins, additional tokens and shit we can use in the game. Give us a couple of new, super interesting maps to work out over the course of the year. Maybe introduce them into majors in 2021. Give us 128 tick, because we know you can do it right now. Stop making the excuse that, oh, some guy in fucking Bolivia's PC can't run it, so no cunt can have it. What's the
I know,
fucking
it's so
point
mad,
there?
isn't
Like,
it?
come on, Val. Even the cunt in Bolivia's got a PC good enough for it now.
NPC reply ever. Like,
Well, of course it is.
We couldn't have premium. We can't have champagne because some people can only drink Kool-Aid. It's like,
Yeah.
what's
So,
the
sorry,
logic of that?
lads. No milk because someone in the building is lactose intolerant. What is the fucking logic for this? And we know you got the resources. Just give us that for a year, and I'm telling you, with the increased crowdfunding and the deep sea, we will break records. We will knock it out the park. The community's ready for this. The community has wanted this for years. Just, you like making money, and we like giving you money. We can make this work. This relationship can work, Valve. Please. Just leave Ice Frog in a room, get him back to the drawing board and out to fix fucking Dota by himself, how he works best, instead of putting all this wacky Heroes of the Storm bullshit in there. Just give him some time, and you put all your resources into CS. You won't regret it. But until then, majors, they're going to pale by in comparison to other events on the circuit. Sunmade Raisins, what's your opinion on Jax, the G2 player? Listen, I'll answer this one because I gave a lot of opinions when they picked him up right here on this podcast. It was one of those rare examples of us being probably wrong and a bit judgmental when we never do that here. Because I said at 27, getting your first chance in a big team, it's a bit daft, isn't it? It's like when you see them all people at B&Q, you know, and you sort of like, yeah, I'm going to go talk to the cunt who can actually lift the power tool, if that's all right. You know, you're not expecting great things is what I'm saying. It's your own prejudice and preconceptions that do it. I had a prejudice and a preconception based on the fact that I've very rarely in esports seen someone kick it into high gear at 27 years old. It just doesn't happen. You're usually winding shit down by then. You know, and if you're in one of those babbies esports, you're fucking retired. You're done. So because it's all reaction based. So I don't know. For me, I think he almost stands alone in terms of being a player of that generation, getting a big opportunity. And like put it this way, he is absolutely not the problem with G2 in any stretch of the imagination. And there's a world where you can make an argument about keeping him over, you know, like maybe one of the imports even. He's a solid player, does a lot of great work. He's super impressed me. And obviously, the next cut here at G2 is you cut Amanek. He's got to go.
Yes. No, I agree. Like, basically, similar thoughts. Like, I actually, I've told this story before, but people probably forget the details because it's not as interesting. When I went and did that Gfinity Elite series, where it was all shit UK teams and then a couple of like slightly foreign teams, one of them was Envy Academy, and he was in fucking Envy Academy. So was that Hadji guy. And I watched them literally not even win a season. I think they lost to like Epsilon or something. And I was watching them, and when I heard they went into pro teams, like obviously Hadji went to Envy, and then I was like, they weren't even fucking that good against like Endpoint or whoever the fuck. Like, no way these guys are pros. But what I actually misunderstood was this. I don't think Jax is like a particularly talented player. But one thing I have mad respect for, and I will always have time for in this game, is one of the areas stats will never be able to tell you everything about a player is in terms of if they can just do their job. Like one thing we haven't been able to establish, you'll notice no one's done this. HLTV can claim they have every fucking supercomputer in the world running algorithms. Notice they can't just tell you something simple like, what should the stats be for an entry fragger? What should the stats be for a lurk player? What should the stats be for a Mirage people? They can't tell you that. They could show you an average, but the reason they won't is because there will always be a player whose stats are under that. Obviously, Zipnix for a lot of his career did this, who if your eyes just tell you, fucking hell, look at the value he's given you. Yeah, but he's not on the stat sheet. Yes, okay, nerd pencil pusher. There is more to life than the stats though, isn't there? Like, sadly, that movie, Moneyball, almost ruined fucking sports and data analysis in general because people didn't realize realize how much of it was specific to fucking baseball, one of the most alien sports of all time, where it's not even really a team sport. So, in my opinion, he's a good example of someone where I don't care if his stats are sometimes bad. Like, he seems to do his job, seems to fit the team pretty well. And I'm with you. If we're removing people, he wouldn't even be in the first two. I'd probably remove. He seems like he's part of the structure of that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to be wrong. It's always refreshing.
Yes.
People think you can't handle it when you're wrong. No, it's nice. Fucking reminds you. Get your fucking head in the game. Sometimes you can talk shit. We all do it. Right. Watch Doge asks, are SJWs just the millennial version of Karens? Where do we even begin breaking down all of those buzzwords in one sentence, and it doesn't even make any logical sense whatsoever? Listen, I'll try and treat the question in a vaguely serious fashion. SJW is a pejorative term that I think is kind of fallen out of vogue. I don't really think it actually gets to the heart of what you're trying to describe anymore, and it's become a bit of a meme and a bit of a joke, and by virtue of that, and quite rightly, because in the same way that you see people screeching about, oh, you're a fascist, and it means nothing. SJW is the inverse for that. It's become this term that, oh, you've heard, workers' rights, you bloody SJW. It's fucking stupid. So for me, it was a term that I've used. I think I've used it in 3 YouTube videos in total in 2016. I think the term had some sort of currency then, but it's become essentially meaningless and drowned out by too many idiots using it for things that it doesn't describe. For me, the thing I thought it did describe brilliantly was that there were people that believed that there were these conflicting elements, and they were willing to go to battle against it. But it was almost like the Don Quixote, tipping at windmills kind of thing. It was like it got into that mindset for me that these people, inherit with even the term social justice is a loaded term because it implies that there is no sort of natural or societal justice. And what you have to do socially is engineer justice, most likely by abusing positions and authorities that you yourself hold. You might believe that. You might believe, it's a perfectly righteous thing to do, or you might see some flaws with that ideology. But I do think generally the idea of SJW is kind of, really silly and played out. And people that get called SJWs now are very often saying moderate and mild things. And some of them are so hysterical, they're actually an embarrassment to the term, even if you mean it as a pejorative, because they're fucking, they're just crazy people who are out of their mind.
I also agree. Like, one of the problems with it as well is way too broad a term in terms of the application. So, like, for example, it's a bit like when everyone in the conspiracy world just calls each other fucking like paid opposition, like, all that shit. Like, he's just a fucking controlled opposition. It's like, you can't all be controlled opposition, can you? Like literally everyone who disagrees with you is controlled opposition. So, like, in that scenario, the reason SJW doesn't make sense is it's way too broad an umbrella term. Realistically, you've got like the Karens you're talking about are just people who just get mad at shit. And unfortunately, we're playing a role in giving those people the voice they have. If they just put, like, I learned this years ago. It's why I don't tend to complain much about the specific people in Overwatch who say the stupid shit. I just complain about the trend. Because one thing I learned was if some stupid, borderline, deranged fucking person, I'll just say that, person who is vaguely connected to Overwatch subtweets about me or someone I know, but doesn't even tag me and just goes, bloody hell, can you see what they're doing again? If I actually blow that up, I'm part of the stupid outrage there. I'm part of providing what is got, like, that has no oxygen if I just leave that. So people like that, that's just a waste of everyone's time. So they're not even warriors, are they?
I made that mistake myself. Just the other day. Joking about that Bad Bunny clip.
Sure.
I tweeted it out because I kind of like, I'm not expecting it to blow up or anything. And you just want to point out, like, I have a very different mindset to obviously what she does, although she says she was joking. Which I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I absolutely will. I've heard her say it multiple times. But again, remember, jokes exist within a context. If her stream knows she's joking and her regulars know she's joking, there is no harm. It's only when you remove it from the context that it becomes an issue because
Okay.
so I'll even give it the benefit of the doubt there. But what I don't believe it, but I'm willing to suspend
It's
my
not
disbelief,
impossible,
I
put it
guess.
that way.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what I realized I did is I did the thing that I'm always complaining about because I tweeted that out. What am I trying to do by highlighting that? What I'm actually doing is I'm highlighting somebody doing something that I disagree with, and by extension, inviting my followers to get outraged about it. And of course, it actually is my most popular tweet this month by some distance. With like 7,000 likes and hundreds, maybe thousands of 2,000 retweets, and I was reading through some of the comments to it, and they're going, fuck this cunt, no, 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 and stupid bitch, and women always doing this. They're all just gold diggers, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, the incels really did latch onto this. There's a valid criticism within there somewhere, which is what I was trying to make, but what I did was essentially invite the outrage. So I did give that oxygen. I did encourage that behavior, that cancel culture, if you like, that I fucking despise. You don't even
Yours
catch
was at
yourself
least
doing it
unintentional,
sometimes.
but I agree the mechanism's the same basically,
Yeah.
which is that's all they do. They take a tweet that we say, blow it up, show it to people who would hate it,
Exactly.
and don't know the context, and then everyone gets mad. Difference
So-
is they do it intentionally. So there's those people, like I say, in fact, that's a good analogy because the person making that tweet is just a person on the internet giving their opinion. Guess what? That's all we're doing. We're all just giving our stupid opinions. The problem is, this is why it's a good analogy. The person who takes that is closer to what people tend to mean by the social justice warrior. It's the person inciting the mob against you, that article. I have to say, from looking into it, most of that isn't even as cool as it seemed. A lot of those people are just basically ideologically corrupt, sometimes even paid activists. Like they're literally not even what they pretend to be. And then the last group, I would say, the people who themselves used to self-describe as social justice warriors. I won't mention other political groups that I think this applies to. They're just LARPers. It's not real. Like they're not actually the thing they claim. Because guess what? On the internet, if anyone hasn't figured this out yet, almost nobody's what they actually present themselves as. That's the genius of the internet, isn't it? Some sort of fucked up funhouse mirror. You can pretend to be something you're not. And then stupidly, as I referenced with any political group that does this, inevitably what you think looks brilliant and you're exaggerating makes you look like a monster to the other people who are against that. And then they start believing the nonsense themselves and no one can see, none of us are these things. We're all just a bunch of fucking boring cunts in offices on Reddit between doing our work.
It's like that movie, The Village, right?
Not a bad one, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They set up the monsters, for good, well-meaning purposes, and then it becomes this whole ridiculous, convoluted fucking thing. None of it's fucking real. It's completely artificial. That pretty much sums up exactly what we've got going on with this. It's had various labels. People call it the culture war. That's what's going on at the moment. Like, are we in the grips of a quintessentially neo-fascist reality? The likes of which has never been seen before? No. Are we making?
Probably shouldn't have nodded that. I was just nodding like I was just in, like yes, you kid, yes, no, obviously not.
No, yeah, exactly. Of course we're not. And equally, are we in some sort of utopia where there are none of these problems, and anybody who tries to highlight a societal issue is a demagogue and a liar? Well, no, that's also ridiculous. There are very real issues based around class, race, and gender. We still haven't got to the egalitarian utopia that some people would make you believe it is to assuage your own guilt.
Obviously, you can't take like metaphors too literally, but the metaphor of it being a war and a culture war, even itself actually does contain the secret. If possible, do not fight in wars, especially when you do not know what the actual motivating forces are between either side, and definitely don't get recruited into one. Like, here's the thing about war that I learned a long time ago. It's one of the reasons why I haven't had an actual real scandal in years on Twitter, just fake ones that people blew up, is I'll only go to war when it's actually to protect what I really care about and believe in. I'm not going to go to war for your stupid little shit that over some, like, I'm not going to go to war for a movie and what people think about it. Like, that ain't the hill to die on. Like, I'll go to war for something I believe in. Like, if people say, like, why are there men on this panel for an award show? I'll go to war for that because I care about that. I want there to be panels that have people who were informed regardless of what their sex happens to be. So if it's some of that matters, I'll do it. But yeah, don't. Like, put it this way, the stupidest thing about that is a lot of the people joining that war LARPing as well. Like, wow, it's a war, so I get to be on this side and this is my team and we're going to kill it. No, it's worthless. You don't win. You don't win in it. Just like a war, best case scenario, what? You don't get shot. Brilliant. Like, why is that good? That's garbage, isn't it?
So I don't know if that answers the question.
It's probably better than the fucking answer.
But yeah, I was going to say, but it's been an insightful and reflective episode of By the Numbers in general. So we'll pile that on there. A couple more to go. Now that the Overwatch League has decided to get rid of all of the old and talentless talent. This is ironic, by the way. This is by Reykjavik on Steam. Okay. The old and talentless talent from their broadcast and develop new, young, and exciting talent. Is there any upcoming talent that has impressed you of late? So obviously, just to factor that in, Reykjavik and Steam is joking because this is kind of how Activision Blizzard framed losing.
That was the most outrageous part of it. Forget the part
absolutely.
that they didn't have the money to pay more and that their league's a total fraud in terms of everything it's promised. I actually still think the most outrageous thing they did was bring in some of the best talent in the industry, and they had the best talent group I've actually seen across all commentary, especially.
Sure, yeah.
Take them, literally benefit from their name, and then throw them out the back door and pretend like you're when the WWE says, sorry, like fucking Scott Steiner, you're too old now. You can't be in the WWE. They pretended like that will happen to people in the prime of their fucking careers. Like, I'll tell you right now, you might have seen Monte Cristo join Cloud9. Best believe he's on a better contract there than fucking Overwatch League. Like, the idea these people are going downhill. No. Yeah. The difference is they're going up. Overwatch is going the other way. Hence why Overwatch did the classic lie. Get ready for a tell that if you watch this tell in esports, you'll see every liar in the business. When they say they're developing talent or giving new talent a chance, they mean they didn't have the money to pay for the best talent. Everyone who has the money just buys the best talent. You don't buy a car that might be amazing but could also be complete shit for like half the money of a really good car that's just amazing.
And
you know, do that if you have the money.
I feel so sorry for the talent that is there at the Overwatch League because
they must know that this is going to be them next, don't they? They do. Everyone can see.
Yeah, but not just that. So think about it. First of all, you get the chance to work with these big names. Gone, that's gone, and that matters to people when you're on the come up. And that's again not an arrogant thing to say. You know, it doesn't matter where you are on the fucking totem pole in your mind. You generally will put someone above you. You'll generally have somebody that you want to work with. And I know so many of that talent looked up to the likes of, you know, working alongside Monty, Doa, Puckett, Semler. You know, these are legends in the fucking industry.
Absolutely.
And now that opportunity is gone. Not only is that opportunity gone, you're carrying the broadcast now. Right, and trust me, these guys can do that. You know, the general talent. Yeah, I still think they've got some killer talent. I still think they've got some absolute killer talent. You know, guys like Uber. I'm glad ZP got his chance because the way Activision Blizzard did him dirty when he was the voice of the game is a fucking outrage. And if I was him, I wouldn't have gone back. But I understand why he did, and he loses no respect from me. I think Zoe is fucking incredible.
She's one of the best for sure.
Oh, dude, like she can do it all. You know, and unfortunately, as you said, they're going to carry this for another year, give them their best on less money than the talent that left, because it's all about money. Most likely, I'll say, and for what? So they can get retconned about their reasons when they have to go.
And by the way, think about
disgusting.
Think about how whack that is as well. Deep down, some of these people know they didn't get promoted. They're just getting paid. Like, that's the big problem. If I go from being like the B tier guy to being the main guy, I want it to be that I did it legit. Like, this is a promotion for me. I now get the big money. I now get the big stage. They know that they're getting these jobs because people were moved out the way. They, in the same way as everyone made fun of Team Liquid at first when Astralis was gone. No one was like, wow, these first tournaments they win. This is amazing. No, they were like, well, Astralis wasn't there. Like, that's what, first of all, people will do to them. And then secondly, as you say, it's almost like, imagine someone saying to you, like, oh, congrats on getting that big job. Must be great getting the bigger salary. And you secretly know all you got's a fucking parking spot. That's even worse. Now every congratulation almost pisses in your face.
Yeah.
Like, that the whole scenario is a nightmare to me. Like, there's a million reasons why it sucks, but
yeah, I mean, exactly. There's so many. And the thing is as well, I just want to say, whenever we talk about Overwatch's failing because it's losing this talent, that is not to be disparaging about the talent that stays behind, obviously. You know, as Duncan said, we think that collection of talent that they had when they announced is one of the greatest collections of talent of all time, and that includes them.
I hope
And I think
some of them, if the game dies, eventually come to CS. We will,
Yeah.
as long as there's enough leagues, there'll be space. Come on.
I already said today, didn't I? About I tweeted about it. Katie Bedford over in Call of Duty. She was one of the So this answers the question as well. She was one of the breakout talents. Host, sideline reporting. She's brilliant, bubbly, intelligent. Incredible. Like, considering it was her first year doing esports because she was from a political journalism background, it's insane. I've never seen anybody take to esports and do so well so quick. Probably the last one is Frankie, which we all know. So I think she's somebody who would have, and she loves Counter-Strike. I think she's somebody I would love to see. But while we're also talking about people, just coming through, I think Duncan already addressed this in a fantastic article he wrote, where he did talk about Maui Snake, who's a great guy, really intelligent, bringing something new to the desk, and is going to get to new heights. I'm sure he's going to work with you again in the future. I'm sure you got your eyes on him for the B-Side project. I think Davey is somebody that, listen, I got my bias because these are like my no majors club guys, but Davey's somebody
an obvious talent. He's got charisma.
Yeah, he's got charisma.
That's in short supply in this industry.
Yeah, you can't teach that. He tells he tells a wicked story. He's got great insight about the game. He's a bit rough and ready. He can joke around. So he's a guy that's massively impressed me. I think I've said it before. Seaside's going to get his time as well. We're talking about the no major club guy. He's a good commentator with a good voice, very just a natural guy. These commentators that force and do the fucking broadcast voice. I hate that shit when it's, and now you're not Murray Walker, cunt. Shut up. And now he's coming up and they're going to the A side and the B side. What the fuck are you talking like this for, you mad bastard?
John McCurry.
Yeah, what's going on there? Seaside is a scumbag and he hates dogs, but he's got a great natural voice. And he's one of the overlooked casters in Counter-Strike, in my opinion. There's probably a ton of other names that are missing out. I mean, CS has an abundance of talent right now. We've got people like Monte Cristo wanting to come over. What an addition he'll be. It could literally get to the stage where you could put together a top-tier broadcast team for all three leagues without mixing any of the names.
Absolutely.
That's where we're at. So, and with new names coming through, and long may they succeed. So that's my opinion. I don't know if I've missed any names out you would throw in there, Duncan.
No, like you said, I did that article about the analysts if you want to see those people anyway. I actually think in general, like casters are all pretty known. We've got some fucking unreal level of casters. So I think, in general, there's loads of people.
And just to give you a little spoiler, guys, because I'm going to plug some content at the end, but I'll plug this here because it's appropriate. I reached out to Monty, just to say commiserations after everything, although he doesn't give a fuck 'cause he's making more money and he gets to do what he wants. But, you reach out to people that in the industry when you hear about them, moving on from projects, and just in case it wasn't as amicable as everybody always presents it in esports, right? That's the unwritten rule. Everyone says, oh, we're just totally happy. I'm doing it for this. And they do. Usually there's some shit going on. But anyway, so I said, since you're talking about wanting to come over to Counter-Strike, let's fucking throw you into the fire. Come and do an episode of By the Numbers with me and Duncan. We'll test your knowledge. And he went, yep, I will do that as soon as I get back from skiing. Because he's fucking living the life of Riley, that cunt. So we'll get him in.
If anyone doesn't know, maybe they haven't seen me on any of the shows, and they also still, because I noticed this, people enjoy my personality, but they don't ever really analyze it properly. They always go off the most obvious cliched elements. If you think I'm going to make it just a powder puff thing if he comes on the show, no. Like every show, I betray my co-hosts. I fucking I'm
the longest lasting one, and I still got some of the stab wounds. Still haven't fucking
exactly.
healed.
I'm on some Stannis Baratheon level shit. It's you did do smuggling for me, but that is a crime, so I have to chop your hand off now. But thanks for doing this one. You are promoted, but then you also get your hand chopped off. So sorry, this is the way it is.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll get him on for a show. So we'll do that. And interesting piece of history. By the Numbers. The original League of Legends version was meant to be me, Duncan, and Monty. The three of us. It was just because it was associated with Riot Games and all that. They didn't want me anywhere near it.
And by the way, that is actually one area where you were incredibly precedent, because I can tell you that the By the Numbers for League of Legends was absolute shit. That was one of the only shows I'll ever say I almost mailed in, but just because the format was terrible. Yeah. So when that died, that was good, and you actually did completely. We were way ahead of the time by figuring out just making a CS podcast, basically.
Yeah, you had to. Fantasy is listen, I look over at the HLTV Fantasy. We're doing that on the Discord now. It's my first time doing it. I'll tell you, don't often praise HLTV on here because of, old war wounds and everything. Their fantasy's pretty fucking sick. They got one for DreamHack Leipzig going now.
To be fair, a lot of the good things about HLTV are fantasy.
But it's pretty sick. But you could probably do a good show for fantasy, but as a segment of a bigger show. Like if me and you, for example, said, "Oh, let's do an HLTV fantasy on this show and see who wins," and we put a forfeit up. That's great content, but you can't do a 2-hour podcast around it, you mad cunts. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. That answers that question. J Dubs. It seems Valve plans to push the cache rework back into the active map pool next. Are there any other maps getting serious pro or behind-the-scenes support, like the Cobblestone rework or Canals? Don't really have any insight into that. I mean, generally, I just give my opinions about maps as and when they come in and out of the scene. I don't know if there are any pros working on any of the maps or doing any of the stuff. For me, the Cobblestone rework's long overdue. I kind of feel like, I know the map has all of its inherent problems, but it kind of feels that's a nut we should have fucking cracked by now. Yeah. And brought it back. I just don't know, people don't. I'm a bit weird with maps. I ended up liking Cache when they took it out, and I like Mirage, and everyone says that should go. And I like Dust 2, and everyone says that shit. So I don't know. What the fuck do I know?
No, first of all, I agree. I like most of the maps. I think even Nuke's got vaguely played. I still think it's got a lot of problems, but whatever. It's people at least play it now and sort of get half decent games out of it. I'm like you. It's I don't ever think about changing the fucking field of an NFL pitch. It's just a pitch, isn't it? Whatever.
Yes.
You just change the team, don't you? That's what you do. So I think that angle's overblown. I think a lot of the people who claim it's getting stale. It's no, you're just bored of the game. Go do something else with your life. There's other hobbies, mate. So. And by the way, the angle, I love this is what I love about, obviously the kind of person who would support this podcast is a believer. They're really optimistic. They want to support everything they love. Unfortunately, you're very rare. You have to understand, pro players are nowhere near the mental space you guys think they are. I'll just tell you right now, and you'll notice how I don't very subtly drop a hint here. There's pro players who literally aren't even reading term sheets of leagues that they're saying, yeah, sign me up for all my fucking life. They're not even doing that. The things that actually affect their fucking chicken scratch that your boy Marshawn Lynch told you to take care of players. They ain't taking care of their chicken. They're just, not like him. They're not just eating Skittles only and fucking, I don't know, coming in that car or Escalade or somewhere. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. So the idea that behind the scenes, pro players are secretly, just out of the goodness of their own heart, play testing new maps. They fuck? They're not doing any of that shit, sadly, guys. I wish they were. So I've never heard any pro talk about a map that isn't in the pool except Tuscan. In fact, that's all you need to know. They're you on Reddit. Want. They're just returning to a 5-year-old meme. I'd love to see Tusk. It's brilliant original opinion, you fucking idiot. Would you like to see the sunrise tomorrow? What the fuck are you talking about? So that's just not. And remember, that map hasn't been worked on in about 4 years. So no one has any angle on the maps thing. And that's another area where I wish Valve would just actually fucking, put someone in a position where they control the project and push it forwards. Get FM Porn or something and give him some budget and tell him to hire some map makers or something. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Last question. It's just a short one. From Buck Pounder 420. I'm not reading the first bit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Whose fucking dick do I have to suck? Or asshole do I have to fist? Or what other kinky shit they're into? When you consider I'm not reading the first bit, I hope you realise how unreasonable it is. Or whatever other kinky shit they're into, do I have to do to get Twitch to respond to my emails about getting the name Buck Pounder 420 proper? Listen. For me, mate, Twitch is a mystery. We had a fucking issue with one of our regs, Mike. He's been following me and been part of this community since fucking StarCraft 2, and they shut down his account over. They accused him of some fucking dodgy credit card fraud thing or something, and it wasn't even that. It was he'd gifted too many subs or something. It was mental. I can't even remember the details, but yeah, Mike got absolutely fucked with it. And he was emailing them, writing to them Twitch, please, give me my account back. I've had it for years. I've done nothing wrong. And in the end, I had to go through my partnership manager just to get a response for him. That's where Twitch is at right now. So, and it's only going to get worse because they will eventually do what all big monolithic tech corporations do and move towards the almighty algorithm controlling everything. And at that point, one day your account's just gone and you just live with it because there's no one to send an email to. You send an email to a spam bot that sends you an email saying, do this, the thing you've already done 50 times, that's actually wrong, doesn't address the issue. And then they send you another email after that going, how did we do? And you fucking did terrible. Where are the humans? Where are the humans gone? And they've gone. And meanwhile, everyone is like, oh, by the way, the actual humans, you're all fired. And they count all the money they make from firing all of the people that actually made the company good. That's what all tech companies do. So, you know, I can't help you, I'm afraid, butt pounder. I can't. Man.
I would just say this again. I don't know why we're giving these series. Whatever, you paid, I guess, for us to feign.
No, that's
these
why.
are real questions. So what I'll say is this. If Simple, the best player probably to ever play CS, still somewhat in his prime, can't get Twitch to just disallow people from setting up bots that just stream and say they're Simple and get loads of viewers and then nick everyone's knives or whatever, like, I don't think you're going to get through to them, mate. If Simple's calling up and they're going like, we value your call and we'll be talking to you in 37 minutes. If they're doing that to him, you're not getting through. Like, as Richard says, like, it's over for you. Just move on. Move to another site.
Just move on with it. Anyway, there we go. That's the show. A bit serious today. As I said, we're going to be doing another episode of By the Numbers on Friday. But before I forget, content. So, first of all, later tonight, in about 45 minutes, because the show's ran over a bit longer than I'd planned for, I'm going to be on a guy called Bastiat stream. You might see me do like some Raj Royales with him and stuff like that. He's a political commentator. He wears a suit indoors. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I promised I'd go over there and have a... No, but he's a good lad, and I like him. And we disagree on some stuff. I'm going to hang out with him and have a bit of talk about media representation and you know, for example, with this stuff with Iran. And so for my political homies, you can go check that out a little bit later. He's a good guy. Give him a follow anyway. And the other thing is, complete surprise to me, we're going to be doing it tomorrow at, we assume 12 p.m. PST. Duncan's coming on the stream again, but also with Dan from Cloud9, who is, what's his title over there? Is he like the marketing manager, is it, or something?
No, I think it's like the CEO or something.
Oh, CEO. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I've demoted him.
I'm speaking out of turn here, but he does something. Like, he's the main guy at Cloud9 now, as far as I know.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there you go. I see. I'm living in a Jack world. I'm still living in the Jack world. Well, anyway, he's going to come on the show as well.
That could be taken out of context so badly.
So anyway, Dan's coming on, and Thorin and him are gonna talk about the money, the metrics, the finances of why you would want to be attached to an exclusivity league. And the reason we do, or a proposed one, or one of, you know, whatever you want to call these leagues that are cropping up. And the reason we're doing it that way is because obviously we don't want it to be Thorin and somebody we might be working alongside doing it on his channel without some independent, impartial arbitration. So we thought that'd be a nice bit of content. You know, DK did a great interview today, which you want to go out and talk about. Thorin already referenced it in the podcast. You know, out of Cloud9 losing between $1 million and $2 million and only getting 70,000 in kickbacks. Now, I'll also add, turns out if you keep continually buying out shit players from all over the world, that'll definitely add to your expenses. A point I will make to Dan's face tomorrow. But it should be good. So the stream will be at 12 p.m. PST. And we'll have a great conversation, and hopefully for the people that like the business talk on this episode of the podcast, it'll be illuminating and it should answer some questions for the community. Anyway, that's that. Shout out to .com. Go there, go.com/RLS, sign up and support our sponsors. We love them daily. And they're a great site if you like to place bets on esports events. So do it, sign up, let them know that you came from this channel when you do it. And of course, our patrons that resurrected the shows we talked about historically earlier. $100 patrons, Jerky's Minion, he lost $1,000 on the Conor McGregor fight. We'll talk about that on Friday. Because but me, I feel a little bit responsible. I was so confident that
you were telling him, I think Conor's going down.
No, but I thought drunk Conor, who didn't even make that 60-year-old man flinch, was going to turn up, and instead he beat Cerrone with his shoulder. So, you know, sometimes you get it wrong. Even Dana White did say no one saw that coming. So, you know, I feel a little bit let off the hook, but we can all have a laugh at that on Friday. Alice the Alchemist, Alicia Uzmanov, and Rekovic on Steam, and our $50 patrons. Remember, $50 get to ask one of those questions that we spent all that time on. Benakagi Assassin, Butt Pounder 420, Carve, Flacksmith, J J-Dubs, Lipscomb Davis, Madsen, Marcus Kjumper, Mike Feedme, Nemesis, Nikolai Lundgren, Sard Sawar, Sunmade Raisins, TC Owens, Tobias Bernasconi, and Watch Doge. Thanks to everybody who tuned in and subscribed and supports the show. We will see you tomorrow if you tune in for that stream, and of course on Friday for another episode of By the Numbers. Until then, take care of yourselves. Peace.